I am a bit of a stats nerd. I think, amongst anything, everybody knows that on this channel I just talk about numbers all day. Moneyball videos are some of the biggest ones where we talk about every little piece of information we can to try to be as accurate and statistically focused as possible. Every season after a rebuild, I spend all that time talking about every leader and every stat, talking about MVPs, award winners, all of this. But I think the one thing that I love the most when it comes up to stats is whenever you get to see somebody approach a record. And I don't mean any record. I don't care about somebody who got walked 4 times while getting hit by 2 pitches as a second baseman against the Colorado Rockies on a Saturday afternoon when the degrees were around 60 degrees and they were facing a left-handed pitcher for the first time since 1995, even though I know the Rockies haven't existed very long. Those stats don't matter. The ones we care about are the big ones. All-time leaderboards, career leaderboards, single-season leaderboards, and even franchise leaderboards. And in our time rebuilding on this channel, we have found one record that we have pursued a lot, and we have succeeded at already breaking that record. That one being the most coveted in all of baseball, the home run record, which we got twice already. One with Julio Rodriguez back in MLB 24, and this year with Alexis Trujillo in MLB 25. I think the more rewarding one being the Trujillo one because it was a generated player who we hit over 762 home runs, breaking Barry Bonds' record. But I don't think that the home run record is the only record to focus on because there are so many more data points and just spots on the top of the leaderboard that I think are meant to be broken, where we can etch more names in history than just Alexis Trujillo. For as long as I've been playing sports games and franchise modes and all of them, that has been a focus of mine. How can we realistically attack every single leaderboard of all time to break the records in a way that feels real, that feels like it could happen, tells a good story, and etches a new name at the top of history? That's what we're going to be starting today, going on and trying to start breaking every record in all of major sports. The saves record is one of the most recent records to be broken in MLB history. Though, broken is a different term because it actually has just got reset over and over and over again as Mariano Rivera ended up getting all the way up to 652 saves and setting the record for all-time saves in a career. We do have 2 current players who are in the top 5 with Kenley Jansen and Craig Kimbrell, but with both of their careers looking to be nearing an end and still not even crossing the 500 save threshold, they're likely not to approach that 652 save mark set by Rivera. But that is one of the records that I do believe is one of the most attainable records to pursue in all of baseball. If you were to create a career that had all of the opportunities that Mariano Rivera had and develop a perfect scenario, 652 saves might just be attainable. While simulating an MLB The Show, we've also seen times where the simulation does actually provide us with an opportunity to get some interesting data. The record all-time for single-season saves is set by Francisco Rodriguez in 2008 with 62 saves, and in different simulations we have seen pitchers approximate that and even break that record. One of the records that I do believe is one of the most breakable in all of MLB's history. We have the chance to see somebody do that and extrapolate that over several seasons, not several, but I guess an extended career. That 652 mark by Mariano Rivera is attainable. And so today we're going to start with the career of a closer, where we are going to try to break Mariano Rivera's career record as well as Francisco Rodriguez's single season save record as we try to create the greatest closer of all time. In order to try to determine and make a little bit of a fun situation for ourselves, to do this simulation, we are going to do a little bit more than just simulate a full career. We are going to rebuild a team to try to create the perfect scenario for a closer. While this is not necessarily the same method as Alexis Trujillo, we are going to try to create a MLB generated player and give him a full career in one uniform. That way I can manage his team around him to give him the best chances to break Mariano Rivera's record. We're going to do this by randomly selecting a team that I have not yet rebuilt in MLB The Show, and hopefully we'll find a new team to rebuild to create a new dynasty for our closer. Let's spin the wheel, see what we end up getting. We are going to get the Tampa Bay Rays is going to be the new location for the greatest reliever and closer of all time. So this is going to work a little bit differently than a lot of my other rebuilds. I'm going to try to put myself in a position where I'm doing a career sim, but not entirely that way. Yes, I could also do a rebuild where this is going to take me the 20 years it would do to end up getting around to this closer. But I think the best way, just as a use of my own time as well as for yours, is going to be a little bit of both. We are going to allow the computer to do a lot of the micromanagement of the roster, where we're going to do some of the big moves to try to make sure that we are always putting our closer in position to succeed. In addition, we are going to spend this first season really focusing on trying to find the best possible closer to do this around. And this is going to be a process we're going to do from here on out for any other video that I do trying to break a record. We are going to go and find the closer that I believe is going to have the best potential to have this record based on their stats. We are going to adjust their potential to 99 so that we have the ability for them to play at a high-end level for the entirety of their career. And then we are going to draft them, getting them a position early on in the major leagues so that we can get them as many opportunities as possible to pursue the 652 save mark that we have to get. I'll admit, at this point of the year, rebuild rosters are a little bit of a mess. I no longer have been making my rosters. It's a time commitment that I just no longer have the time for, sadly, so I do apologize for that if that's something that is something. So I am just using whatever is one of the most recent rosters in the vault as I'm recording, something that had a high rating, and we're just going to go with that. It doesn't necessarily matter because our closer is going to be here for so long that most of the major league guys are going to be gone. The Tampa Bay Rays have no predetermined closer. They do have Griffin Jax, Pete Fairbanks, Clevenger, Uceda, Kevin Kelly, Joe Boyle in the bullpen, guys that I do believe, I think some of these, like Uceda was somebody who I thought could have definitely been a long-term closer for them, but he's just not really proven that. We don't have anybody who we have to worry about. We don't have an Edwin Diaz we need to replace or any of that. Otherwise, I would trade these guys away. These are perfect setup men in the future as we end up building a position for our closer to fit. The best possible way, I think, to build and get a good closer is to find a guy who is around 18, 19, or 20, who ends up being somebody who can not let a lot of guys get on base, but also we're going to try to build a team that means that our pitchers and our lineup aren't necessarily dominating. We need to get a guy who can get a lot of closing opportunities. A little bit different than any other rebuild. We don't want to win 120 games. We don't want to win 100 games every season in a dominant fashion. We actually want to win close games, meaning we want a little bit less offense and great pitching on top of that. So our focus is going to be actually pretty good for the Tampa Bay Rays. Build a great pitching staff with a decent offense so that we can put ourselves in a position to always get around 50 saves per season. And after 13 years with our closer, we can get there to 650 saves if he has 50 per year. But Mariano played for 19 years. Chapman played for 16. Jansen, all the guys that are currently active played for 16 years. For us to get even close, he's going to play for a long time. So we need somebody who's going to be around 18, 19, 20. We're going to see what guys come up available in the draft. MLB The Show has two positions in which you can find good closers, the relief pitcher position as well as the closing pitcher position. Now, closing pitchers generally have a higher overall, a higher potential, and when they end up looking, they normally have a higher strikeout potential. But strikeout potential also means they're a little bit more wild, meaning they have more opportunities to blow saves. We want to make sure we find somebody with high control more than anything. Generally the best way to know, because relievers are going to end up having a little bit of a different overall setup, is to find somebody who is a reliever with high control as well as decent potential. The potential doesn't matter as much in this case because we are going to change that. I still want to draft somebody who I think would be near the top. This is going to be our first round pick, probably either 14 or 36 in this case. So Chris Rodriguez seems like the perfect fit for us. He's got good control, good velocity, good hits, strikeouts, and walks per nine. But I'm not going to lock in him as being somebody because there's so many different pitchers that could end up being the best after I end up scouting everybody. Like Randall Loftus, for example, is 18 years old. If that hits per nine, strikeouts per nine, and walks per nine are near the blue numbers and not the yellow numbers, that means that we would have an 18-year-old pitcher who ends up having a high potential in all the stats that actually matter, which means he'd just be a better potential pitcher to add to the roster. We're going to see what we end up getting, but we're going to focus a lot on doing relievers and closers, and that's how we're going to end up finding our best possible fit. This guy is going to want to be young. You're going to want to try to find somebody who's probably not around 22. We need to get somebody who is 18 to 20, so we're going to spend a lot of time focusing on these pitchers. Let's see what we can get. If this was an actual rebuild, we'd probably not be able to do this fairly, and I know that that might be something that you're worried about, but I'm going to be focusing more on the actual skill sets we have here. And as I went through looking for young relievers in this pool, there wasn't a whole lot of actually interesting ones. Most of the good ones were around 22 already, and all the younger ones had almost no potential. But there are still stats that some of these guys had that I liked a lot. Bennett Sanders has a high hits per nine and decent velocity control. That could be something valuable. I think on the opposite side, Robert Hines has the strikeouts and walks per nine. Then you have Loftus, who has all the actual stats that I really like to see, and the most control, low potential, but we're going to draft him and boost his potential anyways. We're going to pick one player out of these after we've drafted them and seen their actual stats, and that is going to be the player we're going to boost their ratings to. So the way I'm nerfing myself essentially is I'm drafting all pitchers and closing pitchers and relieving pitchers, and then we'll let the CPU do the drafts from now on. But just so I don't completely screw over the Tampa Bay Rays organization, we are going to take somebody near the top. And because we have the number one guy on the board here in Ted Anderson as a pitcher who we found, I am going to take that first, and then we will do all our relievers. So Ted Anderson is going to go into the team, and then we're going to draft the rest of the relievers. I'm also going to show this just so you don't misunderstand how I get some guys on the team going into the first season with our new closer. We are going to trade Adrian Hauser and Pete Fairbanks for Ronnie Mauricio and Simon Juan, two prospects. I mean, Mauricio is already playing, but Hauser, Fairbanks, expiring contracts, trade them to a contender. Makes sense. They both have under a 4 ERA. So this is one of the few situations where I care a little bit less about the potential rating than anything. We care more about the stats they're actually going to end up finishing with. Yes, I did end up getting two good players for the Rays system in Ted Anderson and Riley Rivers in this, but the other data that we actually are focused more on are what guys have good stats. So Courtney, 81 hits per nine, 65 Ks per nine, 48 walks per nine is okay, but 66 overall. We have Bennett Sanders here, 58 with good hits per nine, but nothing else. I do think Robert Hines is going to be the guy, simply because I do think he has the more basic, like all-around numbers. I think Robert Hines makes the most sense to boost up. I know he has 79 here, but he's 18 years old, meaning we can give him another year to wait as he develops. He's already 64 overall, so we could bring him up when he's about a 68, 69 overall, maybe at the end of next season, to give him some opportunities. And if we boost him up, that walks per nine, hits per nine, all that will actually be pretty good. The control's a little lower than I would like. I think Erdman has a little bit better in that department, but I think when you look at it, Robert Hines from Iowa is probably going to be the greatest closer of all time. If, he performs. And we missed the playoffs, 79 and 83 in this race. We actually got swept by the Blue Jays at the end of the month, which makes sense as they are one of the best teams in baseball. Missing the postseason, but going to be in a position to start, I think, with a decent core of guys going into next year. Just take a look at the awards in this season. Somehow, Giancarlo Stanton was the runner-up in the MVP race. Hey, that's what you get when you grab random rosters. Stanton hit 47 home runs, Bregman with 47, Suarez with 47, Cy Young, Hunter Brown. That's more realistic. Obviously, he's not going to win it. Beat Skubal in this race, but still a realistic thing. Acuna, 349. Amazing season from Acuna there. Cy Young, Snell. Because wins matter in that case. Just taking a quick look at our team so we can kind of have some expectations for as we go. Rasmussen, 308 with a 1.11 whip is pretty good there. Seymour was pretty good here. Boyle in the bullpen, nothing really special. Boz was all right. I mean, not good either. Bebbio was really good, 349. Rock didn't play. Kelly was okay. Baker was okay. Uceda, 483. Terrible whip. So not really that good. It brought in Zach Jackson after I traded Hauser and all that. And then Jack's 401 ends up with 40 saves in a losing season with 15 blown saves. Yikes on that one. I think then the only other guy that got sent down was Clevenger, who was injured, but 278 was pretty good there. So not too bad from, I think, the rotation, which I believe will have enough of, gas there, especially with McClanahan there. And if this is the offense that provided us with 40 opportunities in our 79 wins, I guess technically, I mean, we had 65 or 55 opportunities that Jax lost. So, 79 wins to 40 saves is a decent ratio. It's about half. That means if we won 100 games, we'd be around 50. That's okay. I think that we would do that. We might need to get a little bit more of a close lineup, but no matter the way you look at it, we ended up being decent across the board. Nothing really special. Best player this season looks like Jake Mangum from the contact standpoint, and our best actual player is going to be either Aranda with his 24 home runs, 94 RBIs. He ends up with a OPS of 795. That's okay. Caminero with his 30 home runs and 20 doubles with 737. And then Lau with a 256 average as well as 33 home runs and 29 doubles does break the 800 OPS mark. So our best player this season looks like it was Lau out of anybody. I mean, Yandy Diaz is always pretty good because he can get on base too, 800 as well. Mangum ends up with how much do you think? 737. Okay. Not too bad. Chandler Simpson, I always am interested. 33 stolen bases in 111 games is fun. But that's it. That's a good look at what this team might have right here. Lau seems like our best player this season. Most disappointing is probably going to end up being like a Carson Williams, but he's also like a rookie. Like we're not that conflicted by that at all. So look for the future. Nothing we really have to significantly do. We've got young players in the outfield that we can add. The Mets defeat the Mariners in the 2025 World Series. I think it's going to be really important in our lineup and our staff to really invest in good hits per nine and walks per nine guys in regards to pitching coaches, but also when we talk about a lot of the coaching ability, it's going to be improving defense because we want to make sure that our guys are not giving up runs, so our ERA is going to be down so we can develop a little bit more. We get boosts to overall if they end up being consistently defended by good defensive players behind them. Welcome your new GOAT, Robert Hines, the 18-year-old pitcher. He's a lefty. That'll make him the best lefty of all time on top of this, as we're just going to boost his potential straight up to 99, and I'm not going to touch a single other stat. So we were able to sign a free agent. We ended up getting Cedric Mullins, 5 years, $18.7 million. Bigger investment than I probably would have normally wanted in Cedric Mullins. But I think if we're trying to build a mid offense who's pretty good on defense, not that Mullins is the greatest defender, I think he provides just enough bat to get us over the hump of going from 79 wins to like 85, 86. I think he can add us that a little bit. I know that it's not technically for wins above replacement, but if we get that, plus adding McClanahan, I think we'll be in a position where we can make the playoffs this upcoming season. Even though that doesn't matter, it's more of me building a team to try to have a structure in place for Hines. So with a new pitching staff and with a bunch of new positions of development in regards to this team, I think the big thing we have to focus on is how we're going to train Robert Hines. Now, I wouldn't do bullpen session. I actually don't think control, velocity, and break have a whole lot to do with the success of a closer. Generally, you want good hits per nine, good walks per nine, but I think the biggest problem he's going to have to start is going to be pitching clutch. So if I want any stat to go up to a higher level as a closer, it's going to be pitching clutch. So we're going to pitch a simulated game for him for the whole first probably 2 seasons, maybe even 3 while he's developing in the minors. I'm not going to have him develop in the minors for very long. He's going to be up probably next season. But if we have him at least get his pitching clutch over 50, approaching 60, then we're starting to talk about a guy who's not going to blow a whole lot of saves. That's going to be his main focus. We are still going to focus on all the other guys too. I do want to give them an opportunity. Who knows? Maybe we bring up somebody else. We bring up our guy who we brought in, Courtney, and he ends up being phenomenal at the pitching level, and maybe it won't be Hines who ends up being the best pitcher, and I'll swap the overall potential and I'll just move them around again, and we'll give Courtney that shot. But whoever it ends up being, I think it's going to be Hines. Lawrence Courtney is the only other one I would think, and we'll see what we end up getting as we're going to develop in this next season. You can see we have Brad Keller coming into close. I didn't really get any other guys in free agency outside of Mullins. It'll be interesting. We'll see if in 2026 we can end up contending and making the playoffs this year. We have pick 11 to supplement this, but this is where we are going to let the computer start to take some control. We already got our guy, and we have a team with a core of guys. I signed McClanahan to an extension. I think I got Rasmussen to an extension. So we've built our team in our core. I think the bullpen arms could move around a little bit as we go, because I don't necessarily need like Brad Keller or any of that, but if they're trade pieces, that's still beneficial. And then when it comes to the lineup as well, we end up having a team that I think decent. That's the whole goal. We don't want to be great. We want to be decent. We want to be in games. Decent offense, great pitching staff, low scoring games. 2 months into this season, seems like our vision is already starting to be in place. Low scoring offense and a really good pitching staff. One of the least runs allowed in the league, though also one of the least runs scored. I don't necessarily want it to be that poor offensively, but it's only 2 months. The big problem seems to be power when it looks to our offense. 25th in slugging percentage, because we do have a slightly better offensive stat when it comes to, our batting average. We are, I guess, a little bit better, sitting in 22nd. Aranda's the only one hitting over 280. Simpson's hitting 272, and Caminero is hitting 252 with some actual power and pop behind his bat to help support that. So it's not enough, essentially, is what I'm saying. And as we approach about the All-Star break, Hines has gone up 2 overall, up to 66 in single A. I think that means that we can probably move him up to double A after the All-Star break. We actually are going to see our first opportunity to see Robert Hines in the Futures game, where Ted Anderson is going to be the starter, our first round pick that we took this past year. But we have Robert Hines and Lawrence Courtney both sitting here in this, and I'm going to go and see how they play once we get to them. So Hines, we haven't seen because he's been in single A, but we're going to let him pitch, probably around inning 7 or 8. And so here he is, Robert Hines, 3-pitch mix, coming in for his first opportunity to play in front of Major League talent and future Major League talent in the Futures game. We are up 3 in the bottom of the 8th, and we're going to see how he actually pitches here. He's got a 3-pitch mix, 2-seam fastball, sinker, changeup as he comes in, lefty, and I'm actually going to pitch, and you're going to see just how bad I am at the game and why I don't. Oh, yep. It's been a little bit since I've played the game, so that would explain that a lot. Okay, sinker. Let's actually get the timing right here on this. I said that, but I think we're going to be okay. McGonagall's going to get there. We end up getting his first out. Remember, I'm bad. This is why I sim and don't play, and we don't care about that because that's not my job, right? To play the game. Why I'm bad? Doesn't matter. We end up seeing this very late again. My timing is just off right now. I think I'm dealing with like a delay or something. But I got too early, but I got the strikeout. Who cares? We got the changeup strikeout. Robert Hines' first strikeout as a pitcher there, as everybody's going to get a chance to see him. Now against Ethan Salas here in the 8th. Maybe I'll get my timing a little bit better in this one. Nope. You know what we're going to do? We're going to do this. Just so that I don't mess it up. Let's see how he pitches without me controlling him. 1-0 against Salas. Fouled off, outside, 1-1. We could have put him in the 9th, but I scheduled to put him in the 8th just to be safe, just in case that they were up, and then we scored a bunch of runs in the 8th, in the top of the 8th. We were down 2-1, and then we scored those 4s, so that's why Hines is in this opportunity. 2-1 count for him against Salas with a 2-seam right across the middle, only an 89-mile-an-hour 2-seam. Let's just admit, this is going to be the guy with some of the worst stuff ever if he is the all-time greatest closer. He has terrible stuff, but grounds it to him, fields it, rough, throws it to first, gets his 3 outs, 3 up, 3 down in his first ever appearance. Just to do our due diligence, we'll see Lawrence Courtney come in as well, the other closer that we ended up bringing in. These guys could be a great bullpen 8th inning, 9th inning duo here for us in the future. Both futures pitchers. 4-seam, 2-seam slider, another 3-pitch mix guy. I gave up my control so that way you don't have to watch me miss all my pitches. As he's going to go against Eli Willits, gets a grounder to second base here, and that is going to be an out for the first out in the 9th. for Lawrence Courtney, the other good bullpen arm. That'll be an exciting duo if you could end up having both of them, maybe Courtney in the holding position and Hines as the reliever or the actual closer, seeking the 652 saves. I know we're spending a lot of time early on in this, but I think once we get into the actual time where we see these guys pitching, it's going to be a lot of simulation more than anything. So I do want to give you an opportunity to see these guys pitch fully in a full game before we end up seeing them at the major league level, which we will watch their debuts as well. So Courtney misses up high. They both don't have a lot. Let's just be honest. The two guys that we're focusing on here as the potential pitchers don't have a lot of stuff to work with, which is going to be a fun idea. What if your best two closers had no stuff, and the greatest closer of all time had no interesting pitches, wasn't a fireball pitcher, didn't even have a lot of break, is just so accurate, doesn't really miss, good control, doesn't walk anybody. That would be a great setup, and I think that's what both of these guys are going to be. They don't walk anybody, don't give up hits, aren't really interesting, but are going to bore the league until they get 652 saves. Is that your hope? Can we get this last one for Courtney? And can we have 6 up, 6 down for the Tampa Bay Rays closing pitchers from the 2025 draft? Maybe we will. 6 pitches down for Courtney. I would love to just get 3 up, 3 up, 3 up, 3 up, 3 up, 3 down for back-to-back 4-seam fastball. 0-2 count now for Zaire Hope in this one, and Lawrence Courtney in the position to get exactly what we're asking for. 3 pitches and a strikeout, maybe. Nope, fouled off. So Hope does foul that one off. We're not going to get it this time. We're going to be able to see them pitch a little bit longer. Ball inside. 100-mile-an-hour fastball. So Courtney does have a little bit more than Hines does, but this is up high now, a little less control, but that's okay. It's good to have a little bit of a duo there in that to switch it up for you, especially as I just talked about their control, and then he missed 3 straight pitches. Just get him out, please. Hit down to second. That's going to be grounded, and 3 up, 3 down for both Tampa Bay Rays closers. This is going to be a nice future for us. The Dodgers offered us a deal, Ronan Kopp for Yandy Diaz, and while Kopp isn't anything super interesting, Yandy Diaz is an expiring deal, and with Jonathan Aranda being pretty good this year as a potential guy to hold on to that first base spot, I like the deal. We're just going to take it. The other deal we're going to do is we're going to get a defensive third baseman, because defensively we're not that great in the infield, and I do need another middle infield or outside corner infielder now that I moved off of Yandy. Ke'Bryan Hayes is that. He's got a terrible offensive bat, so I'm hoping he could develop a little bit. He's under contract at least. We're going to get some extra prospects in return, because Ke'Bryan Hayes' offense is weak enough that we're in a position that he's going to be undervalued. So Ke'Bryan Hayes is going to come in and be our third baseman. And that's just because I'm going to move Caminero full-time to DH, because he is such a terrible defensive player. He's been better this year, I will say that. His error count is lower in the games he's played third base. He is, mostly been DH for us, and he's going to stay that way. But with Ke'Bryan Hayes coming in at third, Caminero I think will be an okay DH. Also, I love how bad the CPU is scouting. I think the computer scouted this guy. That's it. Gil Garcia. I just guessed on every other player. 82 potential, 95 potential, 71. Yeah, like I said, we're guessing here. 89, 91, 85. I'll take that. Are they great prospects? No, they're all 4-year guys, because that's generally what you're going to have to do to be a little bit safer with your picks. But even this guy, Eddie Cortez, 71 potential is not great. But if I were talking about a guy that I'd want to be the pitcher that I'm developing as an all-time closer, this guy might be it, besides the pitching clutch. And so Hines is going to move up to Double-A. We're going to see how he does in his first few outings in Double-A. And then if he ends up putting together a decent Double-A, maybe the last month of the season, we will give him Triple-A opportunities. In 1 month of Double-A ball, he had 17 innings and honestly a pretty good performance. Doesn't give up a lot of runs, but he has made some mistakes. He's given up 3 blown saves, the only 4 runs in those games. I would say, I mean, he's given up more runs than he's given up walks. Like, that's pretty crazy when you consider just how well he's pitched there at that level. Could he move up to the AAA level? I think definitely. I think there's a chance you could say, yes, he could go. But I think we're just going to keep him at AA here. And I'm going to wait probably another season. I think he'll come up in midway through next year. Lawrence Courtney's in about the same position as well. 189.79 whip, a little bit better, but in a little bit less leverage situations. So I'm not going to act like it's really equal. Both of them are going to be great bullpen arms for us once they do come up. 77 and 85, we missed the postseason again, slightly out of it. The offense was weaker than I wanted it to be. I thought we added a couple extra runs. In fact, we did get worse. Mainly, I think that's because Cedric Mullins was not that valuable, but that just means that we still need to provide a little bit more offense to supplement our pitching staff. I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Chandler Simpson did lead the way in stolen bases for us, though, this year. The MVP goes to Aaron Judge in the AL with 49 home runs, 129 RBIs for the New York Yankees. Cy Young in the AL goes to Garrett Crochet with a 229 and 207 strikeouts for the Boston Red Sox. On the NL side, Kyle Schwarber gets an MVP with 45 home runs and 121 RBIs. Cy Young goes to Nick Lodolo of the Cincinnati Reds, who ends with a 2.30 ERA, only 125 strikeouts, but he won 20 games because the Reds were really good this year. Part of the reason why we ended up getting Ke'Bryan Hayes in a deal, because he was just sitting on the bench. 77 wins, 38 save opportunities this year for Griffin Jack, so a little bit worse, a little bit less opportunities. He was amazing, though. We have to give him that credit. We are going to probably trade him this offseason after a phenomenal season. Try to capitalize on that. He's got an expiring, not this year, but he's going to go into arbitration. So it's a great time to trade him. I know he's a really good piece, but when you're looking at trying to supplement your roster and you know the guys that you're going to come up with next year, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to hold on to a guy with a 1.78 ERA in the bullpen. The rest of our bullpen was great. Like I said, our pitching staff was great, just the lineup wasn't. Last year we had a good amount of production. This year we don't. Mangum got sent down. He ended up, hitting 234 this year, 290 on base. Not good enough for him from the major league level, but 214 from Josh Lowe. Palacios was pretty good, 286 this year. I mean, decent stats all around, 857 OPS. He did play in 87 games. Probably should have played more. Carson Williams, 227 with 3 homers was meh. Tice, 260, okay. But Aranda was probably one of our best players here with a 275 average, 414 slugging. Does end up getting a 759 OPS, a little bit worse. I thought that he would have been better in this leadoff position. Cedric Mullins was kind of just not really providing anything. I talked about looking for 5 to 6 wins above replacement. He ended up with 2.6, which is better than I would have even thought than he would have gotten. Caminero, 39 home runs, 228 average. We need to find a way to get him to just get on base because the power is there, but the dude doesn't really walk and he does not get on base with hits. So he's got to find some level of improvement because that's not sustainable long term. And then Ke'Bryan Hayes had a better average than him, which is crazy to me, knowing that Ke'Bryan Hayes is going to end up with 1 WAR in pretty much the games that we had him for that second half of the season. And shout out Chandler Simpson. Played 144 games, got 0 home runs. 0. 50 stolen bases, 0 home runs. And the Cincinnati Reds defeat the Mariners in the 2026 World Series. The Mariners have lost to teams that we have in back-to-back years made trades with at the deadline. The piece we're going to be getting back for Griffin Jackson return as a closer is going to be Drake Baldwin. We're also going to throw in Joe Boyle and Stuart Fairchild in this deal and get 2 low-tier prospects in return, Roderick Arias and Fernando Fernandez. They both probably won't be anything but other future trade pieces. I'm hoping that this will end up being a position that could fix our catcher position long-term. I know Baldwin might be a really, really rookie of the year potential this year. But fits our need at catcher. I drafted a couple this year, but it just, that's a position we really need. And so going into year 3, Hines is going to start here in his age 19 season in AAA. We're going to start him in the closing role with Lawrence Courtney right in front of him. Both of them getting opportunities to pitch at now a AAA level, a challenging level. If they are successful in the first half of the season, there is a very good shot that they will come up halfway through. We're not looking for a rookie of the year. That's not really possible with a reliever of the year or with a reliever. So we are more focused on just getting him opportunities. He's going to be under contract forever. So if we can get him up as early as possible, we will. I just want to make sure I am safe and not, throwing him under the bus early on. Lawrence Courtney, same way. We're going to give them both opportunities, but Hines is the obvious focus of everybody else. As we, on the major league level, brought in Bowden Francis, obviously traded away our reliever Griffin Jacks and got some bats. So we'll see if this year is a playoff potential team. No matter what, Hines, Courtney likely will be up by September. Lineup-wise, this is going to be the offense this year. We have Winker in, we have Cartaya, we have Drake Baldwin now in this lineup as well. DeLuca as defensive guys in here too. This is going to be a great pitching staff with a mediocre offense once again. The hope is it's just a little bit better than it was last year. There's a part where we have to start asking ourselves the question, how risky am I going to be? 24 games in, 2 months into the season, Robert Hines, 20 saves, 3 earned runs, 105 ERA with a .78 whip. He might be ready. But also, Lawrence Courtney, also 17 holds, .78 ERA, .98 whip. They both might be ready to come up. And if so, the question is, how do I move the rest of our rotation? Because we are a winning team, and yeah, I guess we could say goodbye Clevenger, goodbye Kelly, and see if I could get pieces for these two and just do it. I don't mind that plan. I think that might be the plan. It might be early, but 2 months into the season, I think we're going to bring up Hines and Courtney. Welcome to the major leagues, Robert Hines and Lawrence Courtney. And in his debut day, Robert Hines is going to get an opportunity in the bottom of the ninth to face off against Mike Trout, up 1. Can he get a save in his first ever appearance? Can the 19-year-old lefty from Iowa get his first career save? I want to see it. Mike Trout going to be the first batter he ever faces in his MLB career. What a start against an all-time great. 0-1 with a swing and a miss on the sinker low. 0-2 count against Mike Trout for Robert Hines with the pitch. That one's going to be popped up to left field, and then it's going to be an out. First out, 1 up, 1 down against Mike Trout. Going to the second batter here against the Los Angeles Angels, and his opportunity is going to be Gavin Sheets, who's hitting .245 on the season so far, going into this third month of the year. We are entering June. As we are up by 1 here. With the strike on the 2-seam fastball, Robert Hines gets the pitch in. Number 45, we're going to get that number retired, just like 42 is. Mariano Rivera. Not like it's the same thing. That's Jackie, I know. But like I'm just saying, we're going to get it with the swing and a miss by Gavin Sheets. 0-2 count. 5 pitches in, 5 strikes so far. With the 6th pitch, he does miss low. We're just trying to get that in. That is the number 1 MLB prospect they're calling Robert Hines, by the way, but that is because of the 99 potential. But anyways, swing fouled off with the sinker. Also, you can see we are 2 games within the Yankees in the AL East so far. We're right in contention. Looks like our moves were helpful, adding in some extra pitching. Can Hines get a swing? Grounds over to second base. Can Lau get him out? Terrible throw, but he still gets it. 2 up, 2 down. As the worst defensive infielder doesn't mess up, despite almost trying to. For Logan O'Hoppe, his 3rd batter. We get a 3 up, 3 down for Hines in his first ever appearance. I would love to see it. I want to get him his save in his first ever shot. 2-seam fastball, low and outside for the first strike of the at-bat. O'Hoppe's hitting 196. This is an Angels team that's not very good. We did trade away Clevenger, by the way, so we did get, I think, just a prospect in return. Traded him to the Angels, actually, so it was just moving over to the other side of the locker room. As that's going to be a swing up into right field, and with no Ks, doesn't matter, Logan Hines gets his first career save here in Los Angeles against the Angels. Love to see it. Our first opportunity, 1 of 652. We haven't exactly been like great. Surprisingly, we have more offense than the Yankees and the Red Sox, even though our pitching staff actually hasn't been that great so far this year. But it's been enough that I'd say that we are currently leading the AL East, and with Hines and Courtney in the rotation, I'm excited to see if maybe we can get ourselves a playoff appearance for our future closer. I mean, I guess not future. He's already here. And we got a few all-star starters. Drake Baldwin, all-star starter at catcher. Kind of a little bit of a steal for us in that deal for Griffin Jacks. We also have an all-star starter in Brandon Lau, who up to 25 home runs so far this year. Nothing for Caminero. Our outfield isn't really that great, but hey, we have an all-star starter at second base and at catcher. And a month into his career, 13 games, 10 saves, 1.38 ERA, and a 1.23 WHIP. Dude, he's already racked up .3 WAR. He's not going to get anything crazy this year. He's not going to get 50 saves or anything. But in your age 19 season, if he can get 20 plus saves, that's a good start. So I think this trade works out even better for us now because they traded Jax away. Got 3 prospects in return. I feel bad. Unscouted 99. Let's go. He's 22. He'll never get there, but let's go. Also, this was the rank 1 guy. Let's not go. 70 and 69. We're 1 game above 500. And the only reason that's relevant is because the AL East is awful. But you know what's not awful? This guy. 25 saves from June to August. Last month of the season, he'll get over 30 probably, but a 2.2 ERA and a 1.04 WHIP. What a great start to the career. And if you're saying, hey, you changed the overalls and all this stuff, that's the one thing I know that's a little bit thing. We didn't change anything besides his potential. This is just what a pitcher like this would do. And God, he's been good. I don't think I can exaggerate how important this is. This is the last game of the season. We are not in the playoffs, but if we win the division. 2 outs, Robert Hines, Leonardo Rivas. And so we'll see what he can do. Robert Hines versus Leonardo Rivas. If we win this, we win the division. If we lose this, we have to wait till later tonight to see if the Guardians will win or if they will lose against the Detroit Tigers. 1-1 count for Robert Hines. The Orioles have clinched. They beat us yesterday. They've already clinched that other wild card spot. If we win this, we get the division. If we lose this, we don't know. Grounded, foul. 1-2 count. We might be down to our last pitch of the season in this one. Robert Hines with the pitch. Hit. That's going to get down. That's going to go to the corner. Robert Hines, can we get it? We've got good defenders out there. Throws it home. Only 1 run scores on the double. 3-2. Leonardo Rivas puts a man on second and third with 1 out there. Good hit out to the outside there. Gets down the baseline. Thankfully, good defensive guys out there make sure that we don't end up giving up 2 runs. We are still down to our last out here for Gunnar Henderson. We are going to intentionally walk Gunnar Henderson, who's only hitting .222 this season. And they're going to take out Robert Hines, I think. I think they're going to put in Courtney in this one. Or are we just doing a mound visit? No. Ugh. Why did you take away my moment? Instead, we're going to put in AJ Puck. My moment. That was my moment, guys. If Puck blows it, I'm blaming it on Puck, not on Hines. Okay? Let's settle with that one. 0-1 count. AJ Puck. To this one. Bunted. Puck catches it. We're out. We made the playoffs. Okay, actually, I guess the Orioles did have the tiebreaker, so we don't win the division. but we are a wild card team. We are taking on the Orioles, so they're just going to have home field advantage in this first series, 82-80. Your MVP in the AL is Nick Kurtz, who I actually already know because I jumped in and saw it in this one. At the bottom, he won a triple crown this year. Batting title, Silver Slugger, MVP, home run champ. Nick Kurtz gets a triple crown in the AL, 318, 47 home runs, 131 RBIs. Trevor Rogers wins the Cy Young, 232 with 152 strikeouts for the Orioles pitcher. In the National League, Kyle Schwarber gets the MVP for a second straight year, 50 home runs, 123 RBIs, and Justin Steele with the Cy Young for the Cubs. What a great first season for Robert Hines. 44 innings, 31 saves in those games, 2 blown saves, 2.05 ERA, .98 whip, only gave up 10 runs in the season, even though many of them given that last game, or the one did at least. Scary outing to end his season for the future. Just, oh my God. I'm surprised that he played this well. I mean, looking through our lineup offensively, we weren't great again, but Aranda, 294 this season, Caminero, 35 home runs, 259 average and 106 RBIs, and Brandon Lau, 42 home runs, 260 and 91 RBIs. I actually think he was second in home runs on the season. Silver Slugger this year for him. Just had a bad year last year, good year this year, good year in 2025. Mullins, 250, meh, but Drake Baldwin was a big difference, I think. Going from a mediocre like Diego Cartaya to Drake Baldwin was a big difference, as well as just having just a guaranteed closer at the end of games. So we only won 82 games, but somewhere along the line, somewhere that we made a minuscule move was enough to win that or not win the division, but make the playoffs, to go from 79 to 77 to 82. We need more. We need much more. This team's not good enough. But what can we do in the playoffs? 3 games in Baltimore for his first ever appearance in the playoffs, and our first ever appearance in the playoffs. Matt Rasmussen versus Rogers, Francis versus Grayson Rodriguez, and Shane McClanahan versus Kyle Bradish in Game 3. Rasmussen versus Rogers, Game 1. We'll worry about that. Robert Hines gets an opportunity. He gets a save in his first ever playoff game. Game 2 against the Orioles is going to be an opportunity for us to come back. In this one, I'm still going to sim out. We win the AL wild card and are going to be going on to take on the Twins in the next series. So after 2 good games, we're going to take on the Twins here. McClanahan versus Ryan, Boz versus Lopez, and Pepio versus Taj Bradley of the Minnesota Twins. Game 1, McClanahan versus Ryan. Robert Hines is going to get an opportunity for another save here in a 1-0 game. And he's not going to get it. Blown save for Hines in that one. In Game 2, it's going to go to Shane Boz versus Pablo Lopez. We are going to get the 6-2 victory in that one. Going back to Tampa Bay, Pepio versus Taj Bradley, the former Tampa Bay Ray. In Game 3, 2-8 loss. We are down 2-1 to the Minnesota Twins. Rasmussen versus Festa in the elimination game. We have an opportunity with Cabrian Hayes. We're going to see how it goes in this one. Seattle has advanced, trying to go to their 3rd straight World Series. I don't know if they'll be able to do it. We're going to jump in and watch this one and see if Cabrian Hayes can get it. That's a risky one, but hey, we're here in Tampa. This is a home field game. Ball outside, 12-6 curve by Lucchesi. Makes it so that it is a 1-0 count. Man on first and second. We just need a little blooper, and we should be able to get in here for Cabrian Hayes. Hitting 286 so far in this postseason. Wasn't really great offensively, but was good enough defensively to provide some value this season. I think he hit 222 on the year. Nothing really special from him, but that's kind of expected from Cabrian Hayes. You're just hoping that he can do something semi-decent, knowing he has great defensive ability. 2-0 count. That one is luckily called a ball. 3-0 for Cabrian Hayes. Sadly, Chandler Simpson is who's on deck and not a big power bat here as we're at the bottom of our lineup. Cabrian Hayes, though, 3-0 count. Can he draw the walk to get on base? Give it bases loaded for Chandler Simpson with a pitch. Fastball or sinker down the middle. 3-1 count now for Cabrian. Lucchesi just needs to make sure to get out of this, and the Minnesota Twins will advance to the ALCS. They gifted it back. The first pitch that should have been a strike was called a ball. That one should have been a ball. It got called a strike. Full count for Ke'Bryan Hayes now here with the chance to survive one more game. Takes the ball. All right. Bases loaded now for Chandler Simpson. One of the least powerful bats possible. We're not getting a home run. The question is, can he just hit the ball out of the infield? That's all we need. A hit out of the infield or a walk with a pitch. He goes for the bunt. That was a dumb decision. Going into extras. Here we are in this one. Bottom of the 10th, Brandon Lau now up to bat against Johnny Lasagna, man on first and second with one out for Lau in the bottom of the 10th. With this pitch, it's going to be a strike low. 0-1 count. Now for Brandon Lau. Pitch low for Lau as Jonathan Lasagna, I know it's Loizaga, is going to try to get him out of this. Still 1-1. I think Keller came in the top of the 10th. Pitched a pretty good inning there. Will Lau be able to advance the runners at least? Hit 42 home runs this year. Second in the AL in homers. 1-2 count now for Lau against Loizaga. With a pitch. He's going to foul that one off. Into the crowd. The Tampa crowd is excited. Chance to advance back to the ALCS for the first time since 2020. That one was behind Randy Arozarena. Can this one get there behind Brandon Lau with the pitch? That ball is going to be grounded to third. That is going to be a double play going into the 11th. It didn't show it to me because I skipped the pitching, but Richie Palacios led off the bottom of the 13th for a 2-run shot to win the game. Kevin Kelly gets the win. Ober gets the loss. We are going to Game 5. Game 5 for our opportunity to go back to the ALCS. Bowden Francis versus Joe Ryan in this one. Are we going to be able to take down the Twins and go to play Seattle? We are going to have Ke'Bryan Hayes up to bat in this one. Top of the 11th, two straight extra innings games with the chance to advance. I guess let's watch it. Nothing more exciting than watching Ke'Bryan Hayes bat in baseball. Sense the sarcasm. He takes the pitch inside. 0-1 count now for our Tampa Bay Rays. I think we're going to spend this first run trying to make it to the World Series and see what we can do. Takes the slurve. 0-2 count. Ke'Bryan Hayes is probably going to strike out here, so nothing special. We're going to see if we can advance a couple. Maybe he'll get lucky. Maybe he'll be able to hit a ball in. But this is at Target Field, so we are away. Ooh, 1-2 count there. We do get the ball from Caleb Ferguson there. But this is our chance, right? So if we can make a run this season, that'll be phenomenal. I don't expect it. But we will make sure to see if we can ever make a World Series and win it before we end up just simulating through the rest of them. Ball inside, 2-2 count now for Ke'Bryan Hayes against Caleb Ferguson and the Minnesota Twins. In this 5-5 game, if we could take the lead, we have an opportunity for Hines, right? So with a pitch, that one is going to be a strike going to the bottom of the 11th. 2 outs in the bottom of the 11th. Lawrence Courtney is pitching against Royce Lewis, man on second. Royce has hit .053 so far this postseason as our kind of flamethrower pitcher that we have drafted ends up throwing a slow slider down the middle for the 0-1 count. He's pitched 27 pitches so far, pitched the 10th and the 11th in this game. Can he continue? Gets a slider, another one. Dude's got a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, but he's throwing slow sliders down the middle. Hines is in the bullpen, waiting to come out, hoping that we can get him a run in the top of the 12th so he can get an opportunity to get a save. Finally throws the fastball. Misses low. What a haircut by Lawrence Courtney. All right, 1-2 count now for Royce Lewis in this one. With a pitch. Swing and a miss on the slider. Going to the top of the 12th. With 2 outs in the top of the 12th in this pitching duel, Caleb Ferguson still on the mound, but now it's Jonathan Aranda. We're to the middle of our lineup. We still have Brian Hayes on second. Takes the 4-seam fastball outside for an 0-1 count in this one. Aranda is hitting .304 so far this postseason. He hit very well this regular season. Aranda is one of our best bats. Can he get the hit off of Caleb Ferguson? Oh, that slurve was nasty. Ferguson gets the swinging miss for the 0-2 count for Jonathan Aranda here in this one. Next pitch. That pitch is inside, misses. 1-2 count for Aranda. If he can just get the ball down, Cabrian can get in and give us a chance for Robert Hines with a pitch. That ball gets down, but it's only to first. So, bottom of the 13th now. 12th, not 13th. In the bottom of the 12th, we have Mason Montgomery on the mound for Byron Buxton. We're going to intentionally walk Byron Buxton in this one. Don't want to go against one of the best players on the Twins. Instead, we're going to go off against Matt Wallner here. And on first and second, I guess it doesn't matter how many guys we have on. If they can get the guy in second in, that's it. So Wallner against Montgomery. That pitch is fouled off hard on the 90-mile-an-hour slider that missed. But 0-1 count now for Montgomery versus Wallner. We might have another deep game. What a series this would be as everybody's waiting for it. Rays, Twins with the pitch. 0-1 count. That ball is going to be fouled off as well. I'm scared. Every single time I see that ball get hit hard by Wallner, I'm thinking that ball is going down the baseline and it's over for us. 0-2 count now for Mason Montgomery versus Matt Wallner with the pitch. Ball misses wide. Slider, 90 mile an hour on the outside by a lot. Thankfully, Drake Baldwin catches that ball, doesn't let it go by. 1-2 count. Woohoo! He's pissed. Matt Wallner is pissed. We get it away with it. Matt Wallner does not swing at that pitch. The slider low on the end of the 12th gets another strikeout. We're going to the 13th. And that's it. I just simmed. And we ended up scoring 4 runs in that inning. We didn't even get a save opportunity for Hines. I wanted to see it happen, but we went off there in the Game 5 of the ALDS. 4 runs in the simulation gets us an advancement to the ALCS against the Seattle Mariners. So the team that has won the ALCS 2 years in a row is going to be going to year 3 to take on our Tampa Bay Rays. The Mariners have not won a World Series, and neither have we. And if we look at the other side, the Phillies are playing the Cubs for an opportunity for both of them to make it back. Cubs haven't been here since 2016, and the Phillies did not win in 2022, and so they are trying to win their first one since 2008. So, can we take down the Mariners this time? In this one, I'm hoping so. McClanahan versus Wu, Boz versus Kirby, and then Pepio versus Gilbert. In Seattle, Game 1, McClanahan versus Wu is a 6-3 victory for the Tampa Bay Rays. Game 2, Boz versus Kirby in Seattle is going to be a 6-1 victory. We are up 2-0, taking both games in Seattle, going back home to Tampa Bay for Pepio versus Logan Gilbert. We lose that one 7-10 as the Mariners are able to provide some offense this time. Game 4, Rasmussen versus Wu. 0-3. We have lost 2 games at home. We are switching to a different uniform for this one. Bowden Francis versus George Kirby in Game 5. We are going to have an opportunity tied up. Julio Rodriguez. I think I'm just going to sim it. The Mariners defeat us. We are down 3-2 in this one. Let's quick manage it. So here we are, going to quick manage this one, 82-80 against the 90-72 Mariners, the team that has made it to back-to-back ALCSs. In T-Mobile Park, we've won both games so far there. Okay, we've got McClanahan, 1.98 ERA. I would like that we have Boz afterwards if we need him. So, big problem this season, and really this postseason, you can see, I think our offense is just kind of bad. Outside of, look, I have to give a little bit of credit. Caminero might be hitting 191, but he does have 2 home runs, and both of them were in Game 3 of the or Game 2 of the wild card and Game 5 of the ALDS. So I don't really care that much. But we are going to advance with a terrible offense. Can we do something against Logan Gilbert? Double for Simpson. He's going to steal third. And can Mangum hit him in? Ground out there. I think I'll just do the sac fly then. Nothing. Come on, get Simpson in. We don't capitalize on the double. McClanahan gives up a solo shot to Julio. Ground out for Young, single for Tucker, strikeout for Raleigh, and gets a stolen base for Tucker. Fly out. We are down 1-0. Double for Lau. Palacio strikes out, and a single from Baldwin ties it up 1-1. Strikeout for Mullins, and nothing from Brian Hayes. Single for Williamson. Fielder's choice gets Ty France on first, strikeout, and an error. Man on first and second. And another shot. 3-run home run from Julio. Oh, we're down 4-1. Okay. Walk for Aranda, but nothing else there. Tucker grounds out, Raleigh strikes out, and Dubon. Solo shot from Brandon Lau makes it 4-2. Line out for Palacios. Walk for Baldwin. Mullins gets a double. We're down 4-3 now. Hayes gets a strikeout, and nothing from Simpson. McClanahan versus Williamson gets a strikeout. Single for France, strikeout, and a stolen base, but we get out of that one. Gilbert now against Mangum, strikeout. Ground out for Aranda, and a single for Caminero as Brandon Lau comes up to bat, fly out. So McClanahan versus Julio gets a strikeout. Thankfully, not 3 home runs for Julio. We're still down 1 run, but we get out of that one. Top of the 6th now. Palacio strikes out. Baldwin gets the single, man on first. Mullins, we're going to get a pitching change to Gregory Soto for Mullins, and he hits into a double play. All right. McClanahan gives up a single to Raleigh. Single to Dubon. Double play. Raleigh on third for Ty France. And we get out of that one. We're going to be able to go to the bottom of the 7th with a different pitcher. Spire versus Hayes. Single for Hayes. Simpson gets a single as well. All right. We're going to go for the sac fly. And we get the run. It is 4-4. Steal second for Simpson. Steal third. We've got the best base runner. Can we get another sac fly for Aranda? We do. We are up 5-4 playing small ball. Eduardo Bazardo now against Caminero gets an error to get on. We are going to go to the bottom of the 7th and make the pitching change. We've got lefty, lefty, righty. We are going to go to AJ Puck. Luke Raley flies out. Emerson grounds out. Julio grounds out to the top of the 8th. We have Palacios against Matt Brash. Ground out, line out, and a single from Mullins. I'm going to steal second and just risk it. Give Brian Hayes a shot here with this one. And a single gives us a 2-run lead. Oh, I'm glad I stole second with that one. Ground out. We're going to move now. Lefty, lefty, righty, but I think I'm still going to switch to Lawrence Courtney on this one. Cole Young gets a single. Kyle Tucker strikes out. Cal Raleigh, sack bunt, man on second for Mauricio Dubon. Gets a walk. We're going to make the pitching change now. We're going to go to Hines right now with 4 batters left. He gets the ground out. Top of the 9th. Give him some insurance, guys. Single for Aranda. Error. Men on first and second. Strikeout there. No insurance, but it's time. Robert Hines. I'm going to wait to the last batter because I don't want to be here forever. Ground out there. Raley grounds out. Let's enter and watch Robert Hines to hopefully push us to a Game 7 of the ALCS here. Can the future greatest closer in baseball do it against Colt Emerson to force us and force a Game 7 against the Seattle Mariners here in T-Mobile Park in Seattle? He's only had 7 pitches so far. Against Colt Emerson with the pitch. Drops the sinker low, 1-0 count. 6-4 game. We have to thank the small ball by Brian Hayes as well as Mangum. Simpson grounds that one foul for Emerson. 1-1 count now. Mariners are trying to make it to 3 straight World Series. We are trying to make it to our first one since 2020, which we were behind Randy Arozarena. That one's going to be popped up to the right fielder. That's going to be an out. Game 7. And so on our miracle run, the 82-80 Rays, can we take down the Buffalo Bills-like dynasty of the Mariners in the sense that they haven't won anything, but they've been extremely dominant on their path? Can we take them down in this one? We're going to have Shane Baz, I think, on the mound is probably the best choice. Yes. So Shane Baz, 203. We have Rasmussen if we need him, 156 so far this postseason. So if we need to, and it's a big scoring game, which it should be, the Mariners are really, really good. But yeah, let's just see what we can do. This one going into this game, Simpson versus Brian Wu gets a double. Steal third for me, Simpson. Get me the sac fly, small ball. All right, we are up 1-0 on the Mariners after a little small ball. Walk for Aranda. Fly out for Caminero and a ground out, but we have a 1-0 lead. Ground out for Julio. Gavin Lux gets a ground out, and Tucker pops up. Strike out for Palacios, fly out for Baldwin, and Mullins gets nothing. Rally with a fly out, strike out for Canzone, single for Eugenio, and then a fielder's choice. Cabrian Hayes grounds out. Simpson grounds out, and Mangum gets nothing. Young with a ground out, Emerson nothing, and there we go. Still a low-scoring game. We just got a little bit of small ball from thanks to the double by Simpson to start it off, and a double for Jonathan Aranda. Gives us a ground out for Caminero, ground out for Lau, and nothing for Palacios to take advantage of that double. Single for Lux, fly out for Tucker, single for Raleigh. Men on the corners for Dominic Canzone, flies out. Eugenio grounds out, gets out of that jam. 1-0 in the top of the fifth. Solo shot, Drake Baldwin. We take a 2-0 lead. Mullins pops up. Hit by pitch for Cabrian Hayes. Simpson gets a fielder's choice. I'm going to steal second. 2 outs. I think if there's a hit, he's going to get in anyways. Mangum flies out. 2-0 there. Single for Luke Raley. Then a walk. Men on first and second now for Colt Emerson. Double play gets us out of that jam. But it's still Julio up to bat with Luke Raley on the third. Yes. Top of the sixth. Aranda flies out. Caminero with a ground out. Lau with a fly out. Line out for Lux. Walk for Tucker. Walk for Riley. Double play. That's going to be the end of Shane Baz's night. And that's going to be the end of Brian Wu's night. Top of the seventh for Palacios. Walks. Then we have Drake Baldwin. Walks. Men on first and second for Cedric Mullins. Ground out, but men on second and third going to take that sac fly to get the extra run. Hit into a sac fly double play. We get nothing there. Making the pitching change, we are going to go to AJ Puck against Eugenio pop-up. Ground out for Rayleigh, and a ground out there. Top of the eighth, Chandler Simpson against Casey Legumina. Pops up. Mangum in this one. He has been doing terrible. I'm gonna switch it. He's been awful. We're going to go to Mauricio. Ronnie Mauricio. 3-0 lead. Single for Aranda. Double play. Oh my God. Thank you. Lawrence Courtney. Colt Emerson pops up. Julio strikes out. Gavin Lux gets out of that 3-0 lead. They're going to go to Edward Bizzardo in the top of the ninth. Ground out for Lau. Fly out for Palacios. And nothing there. We're making the pitching change to the man, the myth, the Robert Hines. Kyle Tucker, Cal Raleigh, Dominic Canzone. Single for Tucker. Fly out for Raleigh. Fly out there. Let's watch it and see our man clinch the ALCS, hopefully, against Eugenio Suarez and the Seattle Mariners in Seattle on the last batter here. Make sure I'm not controlling it and give him his shot. Robert Hines against Eugenio Suarez. Game 7 of the ALCS to go on to take on the Phillies. Takes the two-seam fastball there. Nothing. Can Suarez hit it in and stop a miracle run, or are we going to get it with Robert Hines on the mound? 7 pitches so far. Hasn't given up much. With the pitch. Goes for the bunt or the check swing. 0-2 count. As Eugenio was down to his last pitch for the Seattle Mariners. With a pitch. Oh, just misses with the two-seam fastball. 1-2 count now in this one. Robert Hines against Eugenio. With the pitch. Fouled off. That one was a strike. What a series. What a season. With the pitch. Gonna be fouled off again by Eugenio. for us to come back there and win that by winning game 162 to clinch the playoffs, to hit a home run in the AL wild card, to come back in the ALDS, and to come back in the ALCS. We are going to the World Series. The underdogs going on to take on the Philadelphia Phillies here. They took down the Cubs, they took down the Dodgers, and they took down the Padres pretty handedly. We are going to see if we can take them down, and they can't stop our run. We shouldn't be here, and I think everybody knows that, but we are here. Can we do this in Philly? Game 1 is going to be Pepio, then Rasmussen in Game 2, and then we're going to have Francis in Game 4. McClanahan, or Game 3. McClanahan's going to be Game 4 because he just pitched Game 6, and Boz in Game 5. Pepio in Game 1 in Philly against Christopher Sanchez. We are going to be tied going into this one. Can I simulate this? We do win that one 7-5 as we win. Edwin Uceda gets the win in that one. Game 2 in Philly. Rasmussen versus Wheeler. Hines on the mound. Let's see if he can hold off. He can. 4-3. We are up 2-0 on the Philadelphia Phillies. Francis versus Alcantara, who is now in Philly, as we are going to be playing this one in Tampa. Game 3. We win 3-1. We are up 3-0 on the Philadelphia Phillies in the World Series. Let's quick manage. Let's see if we can win the World Series in 2027. 4 games, we just have to win 1. McClanahan is going to be on the mound to start us off here in Game 4. We're going to move a little bit quickly. I'm not going to be super meticulous about it because we have a lot of opportunities, but if I lose all the games, then you can just blame me for the fact that I have not been meticulous. Ronnie Mauricio is he's going to win every MVP award because he's amazing, but let's see what we can do. Trey Turner, Stott, Schwarber, who 2-time MVP at this point. Let's see what we got. Ground out there, double for Stott. Schwarber grounds out, and nothing from Harper. Sampson grounds out, Mangum flies out. We get out of that one. Senzel, Bowers, and nothing else there. In the bottom of the second, we get a single from Lau, single from Palacios, strikeout there, and nothing from us. Single from Miller. He steals second. Strikeout from Crawford, ground out. Stott grounds out, means that means nothing from Miller. Single from Hayes. Simpson gets on with an error. Men on first and second from Mangum, who has been absolutely terrible. I am not going to go to Mauricio. We're going to go to DeLuca. Just anything that's not Mangum. Fielder's choice. Men on first and third. Now for it, we're going to take the sac fly to try to take the lead. We do. We take the lead 1-0 on the Phillies. Pop out, fly out, and nothing from Senzel. Lau with a strikeout. Palacios lines out, and nothing there. McClanahan gets a fly out from Bowers, single from Jeffers, double play. Double from Mullins. Double from Hayes makes it 2-0. Fly out there. DeLuca strikes out. Aranda grounds out. We are up 2-0 on the Phillies. Ground out, and a ground out. Caminero in the bottom of the 6th is going to strike out, fly out for Lau, and a solo shot from Richie Palacios gives us a 3-0 lead. Drake Baldwin with a walk. Mullins going to be up there. Shane McClanahan now with a 3-0 lead going to the top of the 7th. We're going to go and make the pitching change to AJ Puck in this one. Ground out. Senzel gets nothing. Bottom of the 7th now. Lucas Sims comes in. Hayes with the K. Error gets Simpson on. He'll steal second. He'll steal third. Sack fly. He struck out on the sack fly, so nothing there. But we get the run anyways. Aranda takes it 4-0. We have a big amount of space to work with as we are going to go to Courtney in the 8th. Ground out. Fly out. Nothing there. Lau versus Sims. Against, actually, Max Laser. Solo shot. We're up 5-0. Fly out. Ground out. Oh my God. Lawrence Courtney. Switch it up. We're going to go to Hines to end it off. First batter's a ground out. Single. All right, we'll enter so I don't get a double play. We'll enter so I don't get a double play in the sim. Okay, I'd like a double play while watching, not while simming, because I want to see the celebration if we're able to win it here. Robert Hines on the mound versus Bryson Stott of the Phillies. 1 out here in this amazing run. What a miracle run we've had for us to have done this. And not only done this, but potentially sweep the Philadelphia Phillies in this run. 0-1 count as Hines is up to pitch here now for Stott. If he can get a ground out, if he can get a double play, then he doesn't have to go against Schwarber. That one is going to be fouled off. 0-2 count now for Stott. But we might win the first ever World Series in Tampa Bay history in 2027 in a season that we really shouldn't have been here. We barely made it. We barely got in at all. It's just snuck in at the back end of the playoffs. We're the worst team in the playoffs. 82-80 is last place of anybody. We have a negative run differential this season. Oh my God, Jonathan Aranda, get up there! Get up there! Jonathan Aranda gets the snag. That's not going to be anything from Stott. We're going to go to Kyle Schwarber now, the 2-time MVP. Can we get out on Schwarber? We got through with a game 162 clinch. We got in on a shot in a ALCS or an AL in the AL wild card, the ALDS. We came back from down 2-1 to the Twins off of a shot in the end of Game 5, and we came down from 3-2 against the Seattle Mariners in Game 7 of the World Series, and another strikeout. Robert Hines clinches. The Tampa Bay Rays have won the World Series. What a run! Could not expect this for the life of me. I didn't even imagine I'd be doing a rebuild where I'd be simming and going for a World Series. This is meant to be a focus on a 20-year sim of a closer. But we just had a great, fantastic run in 2027. And we just won a World Series in Robert Hines' first season. As a rookie, he gets to pitch in a World Series and get that ring. We've done it. The Tampa Bay Rays probably clinched a new stadium, to be honest. We get a new stadium because of that. And, what, are we the worst team to ever win a World Series? Because we gotta be. 82-80. We're gonna hold up that trophy. Ah. Barely made it, but it was enough. Do you believe in miracles? I'm kind of speechless. Wow. I'm John Shelby. This has been the World Series on MLB the Show. World Series MVP goes to Cedric Mullins. Playoff MVP, Jonathan Aranda. Mullins hit 500 in the World Series. Could Brian Hayes put well? Oh. Okay. Throw something on the trophy list. If he's chasing Mo, that's one ring. So this was supposed to be like, I don't know, maybe a 45-minute video, and looking at my estimated time marker, we're already over the hour mark. I do not know how to be concise. Anyways, we're gonna move a little faster. I didn't expect this to be a Rays rebuild in any way. I didn't expect to get a run like we just had. So let's get into our actual point now and see if we can break the closer saves record in a season and the career record. Hines has 30 saves. We spent an hour and he's at 30 of 650. I promise you we won't be here forever, but I know I will. So I just want to make sure you're not. Okay? I don't want to torture you like that. I think one thing I'm going to have to do with Robert, just to kind of assess his actual talent throughout the career, is so we're 2 months into this next season, and he's at a 4.76 ERA right now, 1.12 whip. Not that great, right? So it looks like he's doing way worse, and he's not doing as good as he did last year. Obviously, that 205 is amazing for a rookie. But if we go over here to FIP, or the fielding independent pitching, he's honestly not been bad. He's actually increased his strikeout count and lowered his walks per nine. He's just giving up a little bit more hits, and a lot of that's because I think our defense is worse this year because Brian Hayes has fallen off the map. So we're going to have to watch the FIP, I think, for a regular time, like across his career. And maybe at the end, we'll compare that to like a Mo or a Trevor Hoffman or K-Rod, all the best closers of all time, just to kind of see that in comparison. Because I think there's chances that in MLB The Show, that offense might just, balloon at certain points in time. And if so, then I just need to be in that position, especially because we're the Rays. We don't have a whole lot of money. And I can't afford to pay an offense that also can play defense regularly. But 14 saves 2 months into the season.
To defend our championship, we are 92-70, not winning our division, taking on the Mariners in the first round as a wild card team this time. That's because the Red Sox had Roman Anthony win the MVP, hitting .340 with 45 home runs, beating out Nick Kurtz this year. Bregman in third. I mean, that's a great season. Carroll ended the Schwarber dominance. We're in an interesting position because we also know that Robert Hines did not win reliever of the year, but got 50 saves this year. It's a good start if we're trying to get to 62. Though when you consider our roster construction, we must actually be in a pretty good position. We won 90 games. He had 50 saves in that, but he actually had 60 save opportunities, blew 10 saves this year. Something that I think in the future we could, have a better situation for him. It's not that he had a bad year. He just gave up runs at the wrong times. He blew 10 saves, but only gave up 23 runs this year. 3.22 ERA is not terrible. It's obviously not great, but it's not terrible. 110 whip is pretty good. But the big thing we talked about earlier, the FIP rating, 2.58. That's pretty good, I think. And it's actually better than he was last year. But the defense on this team was worse this year because Brian Hayes lost his job because he was so bad offensively this year. So we'll see how that actually ends up comparing down the road. Another thing I have to mention, WAR rating. It's kind of messed up in MLB The Show for relievers. So what I'm going to do eventually when we get to the end of this is I'm going to comp it to whatever MLB The Show's reliever WAR is to what it would be in real life so we can get a realistic comparison of Hines. But still, decent season, needs to get a little bit safer, I think. But the big thing I saw, just like the strikeout numbers went up, his Ks per nine went up. We're kind of seeing big improvements across that board. That pitching clutch rating still needs to go up so he blows less saves. But we're not going to repeat. Rays get eliminated by the Mariners in this season right away, giving the chance for, I guess, the Mariners to try to make it back after we ruined their chances last year. At what point do you start to feel bad for them? I guess I did from the very beginning, but everybody else. Not a great start to the season for Hines in year 3, however. Save 19 happens June 17th, 2029, which is important because that is save number 100 for the career of Robert Hines. Meanwhile, at the exact same time, I cannot ignore that Emmanuel Clase has 24 saves throughout the season and has yet to give up a run. I'm probably jinxing that, but what a season it's been to start for Clase now with the Mariners. Also, what's going to be a lot of fun is there is actually a direct competitor with Hines. That is Luis Cabrera, who was a 99 potential closer, a generational talent closer drafted by the White Sox. I probably should have just followed this guy's story. 117 saves. I guess that's our competition. Luis Cabrera versus Robert Hines. That's kind of an insane trade. I guess we'll be watching not the White Sox, but the Brewers for our opponent in this race to history. He is 5 years older than us, so we'll take that into consideration. In year 3, 88-74, winning the division, taking on the Red Sox in the divisional series. Vladdy gets the MVP this time, beating out Brent Rooker, another A, finishing second. And Brian Wu, taking as another Mariner, gets that award. When it comes to the other MVP, Wood gets it on this side to make a third, actually fourth straight red team getting it, and Mackenzie Gore getting it for the Cubs as well. I do want to look at the Reliever of the Year awards. You can see we are not in the race this year. Hines had a poor season, and Clase gets it. Does not go without giving up any runs. He ends up 2 ERA this season, 44 strikeouts and 53 saves is kind of crazy. Nick Mears' 26 is even crazier. But on the NL side, Yohan Duran, 53, and then 54 here for Luis Cabrera, our competition, who's up to 146 career saves in about the same amount of time. Hines' third season, or I guess, 2.5 seasons through this right now. He's 128, so I'm still going to say he's been doing all right, but this is a much worse season here. 14 home runs. You can see this ends up not progressing in the home runs per 9 this year. His strikeout numbers drop a little bit. ERA goes up. WHIP is still down there, but the WAR was worse. K per 9 was worse. Home run per 9 was way worse, and the FIP was worse. Yeah, needs to get those home runs down, but only walked 10 batters in 68 innings. So we didn't give him as many opportunities this year, but also he just needs to not give up homers. Also, I just have to mention, Seattle's lineup: Xavier Edwards, Cole Young, Kyle Tucker, Julio, Cal Raleigh, Canzone is good, Pavin Smith. This feels like a team that I would have built. This is amazing. And then they have Clase. This team's going to go back to the World Series again. I mean, they won 108 games. It makes sense that they would. But can they win one? I mean, they've went to the ALCS Game 7 1 year, and then 3 World Series that they've lost in the last 4 seasons. Not facing a dynasty here, unless you consider losing a dynasty, which I guess you could. I mean, the Bills did that in the 90s. But we're not going to get much place anyway either. Just don't have any offense. I mean, admittedly, this team is built with sticks and stones, so it's not like it's anything special here. And the guys that we have, like Williams, yeah, he's not played well. Caminero, this is his best season yet. He's a big home run guy, but he doesn't really do anything else. Lau has been getting worse. Aranda's been getting worse. We got Madroth after having Yepez and trading him and trading Hayes. Mullins was just meh. Yeah. It's just not that good of an offense. Maybe we need to rework that. You know what else needs to be reworked? The history books, because the Mariners finally won the World Series. 5 appearances, 5 years, 4 appearances, 1 championship. And they'll probably be back. I think my brain had a brain fart when I saw this. I just don't understand reality. At all. We're rolling into the 2030s with a whole new team. Hopefully, we can actually return to some sort of maybe postseason success that we had about a couple years ago. Though, I don't know. Seattle exists, and they just kept stacking their roster. We're young. We've kind of got to build a new offensive core. Lau is probably done here soon, so we'll just see what we end up doing in the future. But just gives... If we're not perfect, if we're not great, Hines gets more opportunities. So at the All-Star break in this next season, after resetting our team, we might have the worst offense in the entire league, but are still above 500, because that's how good our pitching staff is. But I don't buy, right? You don't buy. You sell. This isn't the year. We're 4th place in our division. You sell. And so the first year of the 2030s, the Rays do not make the postseason. Ellie De La Cruz wins the MVP now with the Red Sox, hitting 309, 39 home runs with Julio right behind him. Cy Young, also a Red Sox. Garrett Crochet, 186 is kind of crazy. Devers, MVP on the other side for the Giants, 42 home runs, and Cy Young. Yamamoto, Brian Villa was actually a pitcher that I liked, but if we look at the reliever of the year, you'll see we're not in this one this year. Cade Smith gets 44 saves. Clase gets 41. On the National League side, you see Ryan Fernandez with 56 leads the way there. Nobody approaching 62 just yet. And Hines had a decent year, especially when all things considering. We only won 74 games. He had 43 saves, 7 blown ones. Actually, he had a little bit of a bad last month because I remember looking and he was sitting like a 2.7, so he must have blown a couple saves in the last month or so. But still decent. Gave up a lot more walks this year. His strikeout numbers are still a little bit down from where they were. Hoping they go up, but he'll continue to improve. He's only 22 years old, and he's had 171 saves already. All things considered, the guy he's competing with, Luis Cabrera, who's got, the really good season last year, has 186, so he's not that far behind this guy and is younger. Now, the ERA is obviously lower for Luis Cabrera, but that's also, I think that's okay. He's 26. We're way younger. And the Mariners are back-to-back World Series champions. Why are they able to do this? How much money do they have? I know we're focused on the Rays and Hines right now, but are you kidding me with this lineup? Are you kidding me? And the rotation. Skeens, Wu, Green, Sloan, Anderson, Clausen. Okay. 2031's been a rocky start for Robert Hines. 29 games in, 20 saves. Yeah, he's given up as much runs this year as he did all of last year. So we'll see if he can put it back together. But yeah, he's been a negative pitcher this year. So things aren't great for the Rays right now. We're still not a good team, still not a playoff team, but we have some rookies that are interesting. In fact, our rookie Alan Bassett won the batting title. Brent Rooker was the MVP in the AL, now with the White Sox. Cy Young went to Hunter Green because, the Mariners are the Mariners, even though Trevor Rogers, what a year there. And then on the NL side, Pete Crow Armstrong won the MVP, and Cade Povich got the Cy Young. A little bit of an interesting run. When I take a look at the reliever, we weren't really there, not in competition because he had such a bad start. But okay, but look at Alan Bassett. This is going to be great. I think this guy's going to be great. And then Luis Cabrera approaching 62. Man, we are in a tough spot. This is a tough guy to compete with. But it's not like Hines stayed terrible all year. He gave up 21 runs in the first 2 months and gave up 5 for the rest of the season. So he just had a bad start. We're gonna call it that. Really bad start to 2031. Something bad must have happened to him. He increased his WAR back up, dropped the FIP back down, and yeah, he's over 200 saves now. He's just got a guy to chase down. I don't know if I have to say anything. It's just, yeah, I don't know a time that they weren't here. I don't think anybody does. Fans of baseball are like, God, end this now. Also, I just got to add, I forgot about this because I just kind of had him as a throw-in piece of the deal, Joe Boyle. Look at what he did in Atlanta for those past 5 years after we traded him there. He's an 89 overall and he's really good. Drake Baldwin's not even on our team anymore. It's the 9th inning of the All-Star game. And Robert Hines is out here to save the day, to slam the door in Atlanta for his first ever All-Star appearance in what is turning into an amazing season so far. 36 appearances at the All-Star break, 35 saves in that time. Will he be able to get one in the All-Star game as well? This year has been a big difference. I can say that the Rays rebuild itself, from where we took the core that won the World Series, deconstructed it, rebuilt it young, has started to bear its fruit. Right now, we are at the top of the AL East and competing with the Mariners for the top of the American League entirely. And a lot of that has to do with our pitching. Ball does not get down as we do get the catch there. First out for Hines. Jason Dominguez getting there now with the A's. So, one thing that's big is that we're actually in a position where our pitching staff has really developed. All the guys that we drafted in 2025 and 2026, as well as Dylan Lesko, has developed into a position where all of them are now valuable pieces in the starting rotation. In addition, most of our bullpen, those smaller pieces that we have ended up performing really, really well. And the lineup pieces that we have that are kind of some of the core elements to this roster have played really well. We built entirely around defense at this point in order to try to build this up. Play a little bit of small ball because we're the Rays. We don't have the money to pay for big hitters besides the ones that we have on the roster. This year, Junior Cabanero is an all-star at third base, as well as Theo Gillen in left field. Ball's grounded to Hines. He's going to grab it and throw it over to first for the second out of this one. And with that, we also have new catchers. We have new outfielders entirely built around just picking up the pieces in different trades, acquisitions, especially when we traded away guys. We've gotten players for Drew Rasmussen when we traded him away, Shane McClanahan when we traded him away, Brandon Lau. When we deconstructed the team, we got a lot of assets that ended up turning into good pieces. I think the big one being Alan Bassett, who was not supposed to be anything, just ended up being a piece. I think this is going to get down. I don't know, Dominguez is running. That's a save. Dominguez actually gets there. So we get a save in our first All-Star appearance. But I'm going to say, I think we're going to see a little bit more this year out of Robert Hines and this roster, because this might be his best season. I don't know. I mean, we're getting down to it. We have over a month left to play, and he's at 50 saves. If we can continue this type of pace, 62 is in range. And on September 10th, Robert Hines is at 57 saves, which would technically tie him for second all-time with Edwin Diaz and Bobby Thigpen. Now, I also have to add that technically this also makes it third now, because we did see Luis Cabrera get to 58 last year in this. But he's 5 saves away from the 62 set by K-Rod in 2008, and that means with about 15 games left to play, if he gets 5 more saves, he will do it and set, or at least tie, the single season saves record. 5 days later, on September 15th, he ties now Luis Cabrera with 58. He's running out of time to get to 62. He needs a really great last 3 series of baseball. And here we are, up 3, going into the 9th inning with, I believe, only, 4 games left in the season. And he is at 61 saves, going for 62 with a 3-run lead. I had to jump in and do some quick manage for these to make sure I didn't miss it and I didn't sim it. We had to see it. He has given up and only blown 2 opportunities this year. The Eric Gagne streak thing is never going to happen. Let's just be honest. That's just not possible, especially in a simulation. But if you imagine and think about what he's done and the consistency that Hines has had since May of last year, this is going down as one of the greatest streaks of all time. We'll count it when we get to the very end of the season to make sure that we don't have any other incorrect stats, by the way. But this has been a phenomenal 2-year stretch outside of the first 2 months of last season. So 0-2 count for Hines versus Daniel Susek. That one is going to be hit out to the outfield, and I think we're going to get under it, and that is going to be an out. Wilyer Abreu, who we traded for at the deadline, going to come down with that ball. Made a couple moves at the deadline, mainly to shore up a bullpen around Hines, as well as to get Wilyer Abreu a defensive bat that I think would also be useful. As this is a good year. We have over 100 wins. This is probably our best shot to upseat the Mariners since our one miracle run, and I'm hoping that we can do it. Ball down low with the changeup, 1-1 count for Robert Hines now in this one. So this would be to tie K-Rod's record at 62 if he gets this save. With a 3-run deficit, he's got a lot of safety in that, but I just want to make sure we see it happen, and then I'm going to have to quick manage a few more games just to see what happens. And by the way, I'm just simulating and changing pitchers as we go in those simulations just to make sure I can be there and be present if he is to break the record. So that way you can see it. So 2-2 count now for Joey Turner. In this one, that ball is going to be outside, misses with the sinker. Yes, he is at 61 saves. Joey Estes is at 51 now with the Orioles on that side. You can see Luis Cabrera down there with Boston in 4th. So I think we're catching up to him in saves in the career. He obviously had more because he had such a great season last year compared to Hines' bad start, as Hines is going to walk Joey Turner with the ball outside. First walk of the day. For Hines, bring up Franklin Arias here. But there's other things. I want to say,
we talked a little bit about like chasing the records of 62 and chasing even 57 and mentioning that Luis Cabrera had actually set a new record. There is still a question of whether or not 652 saves is going to be the record by the time we get there. I had considered that it probably wasn't going to be broken for a while when I knew that we had, Kimbrel and Kenley and Aroldis weren't going to last very much longer. But Edwin Diaz and Josh Hader both have been phenomenal for the entirety of the sim. And I know both of them are getting closer and closer to that number if they continue to last. That ball's going to be fouled off to 2-2. There is a chance that a pitcher like Edwin Diaz could break Mariano's record before that, which means 652 would not be the goal, but instead whatever Edwin sets. Ooh, bad pitch, but it's a strike. That's 2 strikeouts, or 1 strikeout, but that's a strikeout looking. As we are down to the last batter, Roman Anthony, for the chance for Robert Hines to make history and tie the all-time saves record with 62 in this one. That ball's going to be low. It's going to be defended there by Gonzalez, Sheldon Gonzalez, somebody who we ended up trading for in regards to, I believe that was a part of I think it was the McClanahan deal that we made when we traded him away. Oh, swing and a miss on a slow changeup down the middle, 1-1 count. A lot of pieces that we've gotten out of these trades, mainly all see potential guys that I just hoped would end up being valuable. Another swing and a miss as Roman Anthony is down to his last pitch. I'm going to stop yapping. Is Hines going to get the save? That ball's going to be grounded over to second base. Jackson Holliday's going to field it. 62! The record is been tied by Robert Hines with a couple games left to go to potentially cross it and get to 63 on the year. Will he be able to do so? I hope so. And for 63, Robert Hines in this one in a 1-0 game against the Orioles. 2 games left in the season. This is game 161. If he doesn't get it, that's it. So here we are, the bottom of the 9th. We had Ted Anderson pitching a shutout, and I was like, I'm going to give Hines the shot, because I think realistically, if you had a closer about to set a record, I think the whole team would be like, yeah, who cares about this, pitchers? We're going to conserve our starter's arm and let Robert Hines go for the record in this one. Also, most surefire thing so far this season has been Robert Hines. 2-0 count now against Ezekiel Duran here. It's a closer margin, so it'll be a little bit more of a tough fight as he grounds that one foul. But 63 saves is still in the making. Now, he technically has the record. All time in the record books, you would put Robert Hines, but this would single him out above K-Rod as that one is fouled off. Make it 2-2 count now for Robert Hines here in Baltimore. Camden Yards, the ability for the Tampa Bay closer to set this record. Swing and a miss by Ezekiel Duran with the strikeout. That is going to leave 2 more batters left from history for Robert Hines. Can he get there? It's all going to be down to this. We are now going back to the top of the lineup. Hyesung Kim of the Orioles against Robert Hines. Takes the sinker low and outside for the first strike. Hines has been phenomenal all year. What an insane season, especially coming off of what a bad start to last year he had. With that pitch, that two-seam fastball is going to miss low, so that's a 1-1 count now. As you can see on the bottom, the Mariners have clinched the AL West this time, so we might be seeing them in the postseason as the sinker on the inside. Misses 1-2 count, but he still swings with the pitch. Ooh, it was right on the paint, so we'll give it to him. Change up on the outside, makes it 2-2 for Hyesung Kim now. With the pitch. Another swinging strikeout. Hyesung Kim gets set down, leaving history down to one last batter here in Camden Yards, as the Orioles' second baseman could not make contact to stop history from happening. We are down to Ahmad Washington for the last batter. Hines with the pitch. That ball is going to be popped up to shortstop, and he's going to catch it. And Robert Hines is going to make history in Camden Yards
63 saves in a single season for the Tampa Bay Rays closer. All it took was 111 wins. The crazy part about that is not that we did anything really crazy. We didn't make any real off-season acquisitions. We made the one trade halfway through the year, but we went from 77 wins to 111 by making 0 off-season acquisitions. Winning the division with the bye, probably going to see Seattle. But let's go look at those record books and see them set. You can see it right on the bottom left. Actually, he technically got one more in the last game to get to 64 saves. Robert Hines in the year of 2032 breaks K-Rod's record, meaning he's got one thing down. Mariano Rivera up next, 652. Can he get there? I don't know. Let's take a look at this season. So on May 31st of 2031, Robert Hines had given up 21 runs in a season. From May 31st of 2031 all the way to October of 2032, he had given up 18 runs in that stretch. 64 saves in 66 save opportunities. He ends up giving up only 7 runs. Actually, I did the math wrong there. I was looking at runs, not earned runs. He had 21, so he actually gave up only 11 runs in that time period. 0.88 ERA, 0.68 whip, 2.2 WAR in this season, which can be extrapolated out, I believe, way higher than that, with a 190 FIP and a Reliever of the Year award and a one-time All-Star. Yes, so far his career doesn't look like Mariano Rivera. It actually probably looks a little closer to Trevor Hoffman, but he's at 277 saves and he's 24 years old. Hoffman didn't start pitching until he was 25. I will just go through the awards because we have 3 of them. Robert Hines, Delivery Man of the Year, Alan Bassett and Wilyer Abreu with Gold Gloves, and Theo Gillen with a Hank Aaron Award. Jordan got the MVP. Paul Skeens with the Cy Young, just beating out Ted Anderson. Honestly, Ted Anderson probably deserved that over him. PCA with another MVP, and Roki Sasaki with a Cy Young. Okay. Class A was still right there, and if we look at Class A, he's at 521 saves. So he's still got a shot, especially if the Mariners are this dominant. He might be more of the Mariano Rivera comparison, just with the dominance that he's had at the top end and the Reliever of the Year awards and the amount of All-Star appearances. There's still a good chance that Class A ends up being the historical comp. But look, another one. Matt Brash, 58 saves this season. I guess that's just because they replaced Luis Cabrera with Matt Brash, and the Brewers have been good too. So there's still a lot of competition. Wallace Rowan was also drafted in 2025, and he's put together a couple good seasons, but he started a little bit later. History has a lot more in writing, but right now, Hines has a gold stamp at the very top of it. In a chance to get his second ring, Robert Hines trying to put another trophy on what is an amazing 2032. Seattle is the big team that's in his way, but this is a dominant, all across the board playoff kind of just bracket. The Brewers made it to the World Series just last year. The White Sox have been really good. Boston is fantastic. And then there is, of course, Seattle, who will probably take down the White Sox pretty easily. And we'll see if we can take down the dynasty for a second time. And so here we are in the 2032 ALCS, exactly where we thought we would have been. And it's been an insane run so far. In 2025, the Mariners lost the World Series. They lost in 2026. And in 2027, we upset them, won the World Series. But Seattle has been there every year since, losing in 2028, then winning in 2029, 2030, and 2031. Meaning, they are coming off of a three-peat and have been in 6 of the last 7 World Series. We are the only other team to have beaten them, and here in the AL, we are, once again, the only other team that threatens their historical dynasty. Game 1, Eddie Cordero versus Hunter Green, is going to be a 6-3 victory for us.
Game 2, Ted Anderson versus Brian Wu. We are tied in the bottom of the ninth. We are just going to simulate this one, and the Mariners defeat us in that one, making it a 1-1 series as Hines gets the loss in this game. Shane Baz is actually off of the injured list, meaning I can go bring him back to the rotation, something I'm going to go do quickly. Game 3 will be Lesko versus Cade Anderson, and we lose that one, falling down 2-1 here in Seattle. Ritson versus Skeens in Game 4. Can we tie it up 2-2? We cannot. We are down 3-1 to the Mariners for the chance to play the Cubs in the World Series. Riley Rivers versus Hunter Green in Game 5. We are eliminated by the Mariners. A 111-win season. We cannot stop the dynasty. 4 in a row for Seattle as they win 2032. It's safe to say we're cementing many Mariners right now as all-time Hall of Famers. Julio Rodriguez, Kyle Tucker, Cal Raleigh, Paul Skeens, Brian Wu. So many players on this team are going to be Hall of Famers with the amount of rings they have racked up. That is 4. And Julio's only 31. And this team is still not going anywhere. But we are young, and we have been the only team that has been able to threaten them. 2033, will Hines be able to match what he just did last year and see if he can overcome the Mariners for a second time in his career? After the record-setting year, Robert Hines is going to be sitting here with 277 saves, and he is 25 years old. At this point, Trevor Hoffman would just be starting to pitch. He's got a big head start, I think, on him. So, will we be able to repeat this? We are considered to be the number 1 team in all of baseball now. We have built our team around the main components that we tried to. Pitching first, so that way if you are building a roster, that means scoring is lower, which means that the gaps are lower to work with. And we want a smaller scoring margin for Hines to get more saves opportunities. He has been pretty consistent since about halfway through 2031. Can he keep that going through 2033? That is going to be a big question. Or was this 2032 just a miracle year? If he continues up this streak of just being red hot, we will continue watching season by season. But I think at 277, going to hit 300 this year, it is going to be about time, just also knowing how long this video is going to be, that I'm going to start spreading out how much we are watching and kind of just hit the main markers. Because I do believe that with the one single season record broken, we're waiting on 652. And I'm excited to watch it too, because you also have Luis Cabrera, now with the Boston Red Sox, as a very viable opponent for the next several seasons. I think he's in a position where you could say he could be the reliever of the future. Or is it somebody who's already in the league? I did see Edwin Diaz and Hader both lost their closing roles partially through last year, so 652 is likely not in range for both of them, but it could be for Emmanuel Clase. However, Clase went to the Milwaukee Brewers this year, meaning he is no longer going to be closing because Matt Brash just had 58 saves last year. Seems like a bad choice by Emmanuel Clase, but he's at 521. He's only 130 out. Maybe he gets that job back partially through this year. I think realistically, he's who we're chasing. He's got 4 rings. And I mean, like, just 521. He's going to be the guy who's going to get there. He had his amazing season actually in 2024, where he put together one of the best closing seasons of all time. So Clase, I think, is going to be the guy we're going to end up chasing as one of the greatest relievers of all time. While it's not to the exact level of dominance that he had last season, he's up to the same amount of earned runs as he had in 2032. 2.12 ERA and 23 saves makes it 300 with no blown saves so far. We're talking about this is now Robert Hines' peak. That's back-to-back Reliever of the Year awards for Robert Hines as he continues up his stretch of, I guess, his new peak. Looking around the league, Markel Marquez of the Yankees wins the MVP, and the Cy Young goes to Brian Villa the Texas Rangers. On the NL side, you have Jack Caglione winning the MVP. Actually, somebody who I wanted to sign this offseason, wasn't able to get him. And then Mackenzie Gore wins the Cy Young on the NL side as well. We take a look at reliever of the year. We do get it with 56 saves for Robert Hines. Frank Cornell had 60. So somebody right behind there, and Luis Cabrera was right there with 50. When we take a look at the NL, I did know that Matt Brash was dominant all year. They ended up with 51 saves there. So we don't have to worry necessarily about Emmanuel Clase stretching out that gap for us just yet. Some of the more interesting news is how the playoffs actually go. 103-59. Technically, we were better last year, but it's okay as we ended up having just a dominant offense this time. But the Red Sox are right behind us. The other thing that was interesting is the Mariners were actually not good this year. They were like... okay. What? They made the playoffs. Okay, whatever. They're the wild card team. That might not be a surprise to you. I guess maybe a surprise they fell off. The surprise to me is I check the deadline of all the records to see what teams are most realistic to trade with. And the Mariners were 15 games below 500 at the deadline. I thought we had respite from this curse of Seattle. Instead, you know they're just going to make it back to the ALCS, right? So Hines is up to 333 on the season. He ended up having... I mean, it's a great season. It's 56 saves. That would go down as like 4th or 5th all time now at this point. But it was twice as worse as last year's. That's just how crazy his season is. So it's 333. And if you look, he is catching Luis Cabrera, who's at 338. So I think we're going to get him. I mean, four seasons behind, but I guess there's a new competitor in this race, especially if the A's are whatever. I think we just checked. I think they had 89 wins and he had 60 saves and 89 89 opportunities. Actually, he had 6 more opportunities and then he got 2 holds. So you're talking about a guy who could have had like 70 saves in 90 games. I know that's not there, but you look at these losses, you look at the wins, there's chances that he didn't blow a save, but gave up a run, didn't get his opportunity. What is that? You got to be kidding me. They made it? We're talking 9 straight years now. Seattle has made it to the ALCS. All right. We're the only thing that has ever stopped them. Let's see if we can stop them again. So game 1 gives us an 8-3 victory. Shane Baz leading the way over Cade Anderson, who does get lit up. Game 2 is going to be Ted Anderson versus Brian Wu. Can we take this one here in Tampa? We can. We are up 2-0 now on the Mariners before we go to Seattle. Russell Ritson versus Paul Skeens in game 3. Can we end this Seattle reign of terror? We are up 3-0. Lesko versus Hunter Green to make it a sweep. All right. The Mariners' reign is over. 4 in a row. We have stopped it. We have now jumped in, and in the past 9 years, only 2 teams out of the AL have made it to the World Series. 7 times the Mariners, 2 times the Tampa Bay Rays. But as we go into this one, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're running away from dynasties and greatness. Emmanuel Clase is on the opposite team, searching for his 5th World Series ring in a row. So we need to stop that. Broderick Austin is going to take the bump in game 1. Trejo, Shane Baz in game 2 versus Jared Jones. So game 1 in Tampa, Broderick Austin versus Johnny Trejo, 5-1 victory. Shane Baz versus Jared Jones in game 2. It's going to be a 2-3 loss. Kyle Harrison takes the L in that one. We are now tied 1-1 going into Milwaukee. Ted Anderson versus Horace Scott in game 3 is a 5-3 victory for Ted Anderson. Going into game 4, Russell Ritson versus Luther Gray is a 2-5 loss. We are now tied 2-2 with the Milwaukee Brewers going into game 5. Lesko versus Trejo. That is a 5-11 loss. Is this going to be the end for us? Austin, then Baz, Broderick Austin, game 6. We are eliminated by the Milwaukee Brewers. We do not win our second ring. Clase gets 5.
And the ALs, I guess 4 years in a row, are ruined. But hey, we made it back to the World Series. We'll be back again. While we've been focused much on Robert Hines, it's actually interesting. We're also chasing another record. Sadly, he's going to leave in free agency, but I think he'll still get more opportunities to eventually break this. Lawrence Courtney is up to 220 career holds. The record for most holds in a season is 41. He did not get there, and I don't think he's going to get there. He had as many opportunities as possible. He's just not that great of a pitcher. He's okay. He's probably going to get a closer role, though. But the actual all-time record is 266. It's held by Mike Stanton. Now, it's a little bit up in the air. That's kind of a calculation. The holds was not a regulated stat until 1999, and Mike Stanton did pitch prior to that. So any players after that, you've got like Tony Watson, who's 246, is like the official leader. But the unofficial leader, Mike Stanton's at 266. You're telling me a 28-year-old reliever can't get 46 more holds in his career? I'll let him walk. We'll let him see what he can do, but we'll come back and check in with Mr. Courtney to see what he ends up doing if he can break the holds record, just as Hines breaks the saves record, even though, holds doesn't really matter. Just another record to say that we could break. Never mind, we signed him back anyways. And that's 3 straight reliever of the years for Robert Hines. Chasing down Mariano's 5. He is up to 3 and is peaking. Oh my God, Junior Caminero with an MVP. He hits 47 home runs this year, beating out Bobby Witt on this season. 140 RBIs, 47 homers. What a year. Caminero has regressed bad. He's down to a 78 overall, but offensively, he's still very, very productive. And we're talking about a man who's up to 370 home runs at third base. He already has the Rays record all time. He's really chasing down third base. Now, A-Rod has that. So there's a whole question mark because of the steroids and all that. But at 30 years old, Caminero at third base is at 370 home runs. If he can stay in the league for 5 more years, we're talking about 500 home runs, which would be amazing. But anyways, Cy Young goes to Paul Skeens with the Seattle Mariners, who is back on top. Andrew Fisher wins the MVP with the Milwaukee Brewers, and Seth Hernandez gets the Cy Young. When I go over to the reliever of the years, I do see 57 saves for Aaron Lantigua. And then we have Robert Hines with 48 this year. Amazing 1-1-1. Luis Cabrera did have more saves, but 48 saves, 1-1-1. That means since May of 2031, he gave up 5, 12, 25, 32 runs since May of 2031. This has been something happened. Something happened May 31st of 2031. Robert Hines just completely changed his game. If you fell asleep for a moment and wondered if you accidentally rewound to, I don't know, any other year in history, you didn't. It's Seattle versus Tampa and Milwaukee versus Pittsburgh. The same series it seems to be almost every year. Because Seattle is here for the 10th straight time. So, will we be back or will it be Seattle? Riley Rivers versus Brian Wu, Game 1. We lose. Game 2, Broderick Austin versus Ryan Sloan. Game 3, Shane Baz versus Kate Anderson. Are you kidding me? We just like to give them little breaks in their dynasty, so they can have a year off or so. So Josh Hader retired. He had a bad last 3 years in LA. 532. He did not push the number up. The 2 guys that did, Edwin and Clase, they're not up to 652 yet, but I think they're both around 600. Also, not a Hall of Famer, by the way. But unless he loses the job, I'm going to have to say Edwin Diaz, he's going to push this number up. I think one of the GOATs finally got his MVP. Julio, 45 home runs, 314 average, 135 RBIs for the Mariners, gets his first MVP. Cy Young, Michael Carlson. Zaire Hope gets the MVP for the Dodgers on the NL side, and Trey Savage
getting the Cy Young. All right. Reliever of the year, Mason Miller in the NL for the Brewers because they are consistent. And Cade Smith now as the reliever of the Mariners gets 49 saves. Cabrera there. Hines didn't have as good of a year. Started to slump a little bit. I think losing in the ALCS to the Mariners didn't really help his confidence. And with Cam Schlittler getting that job, that means that Edwin Diaz, who was on the Astros, did not close games. He did not approach the 450 or 652. It's not like Hines had a bad year. 429 now, total saves, 48 saves this year. But 27 earned runs is about as much as he gave up in the last 4 years combined. So he is back down from his otherworldly status he was at. Got 3 relievers of the year in that race for it, and we'll see if he can continue. He's not going to get all-stars because he's considered a reliever and not a closer, but what is important, I don't know if I already forgot if I mentioned this, relievers in this game are technically 6 overall lower than a closer with the same exact stats. So it's important to note, if you want somebody to be just a little bit better, you make them a reliever, not a closer. Because when they get to 99, they cap out. But at 99 for a closer, they're actually going to look like they're at 93 or 94, depending on the math. So technically, we're talking about 102 overall right now for Robert Hines, or he was sitting at about 104 earlier in the season before he saw some regression this year. I think Clase is the guy to chase. I don't think Diaz is going to hit 652, but like I said, we got Trevor Hoffman, not Mariano. Like, are you bored of this yet? Are you bored of this? I think what's interesting about this reality is essentially we've created a reality where fan interest would be at an all-time low. You've got the 3 smallest markets of baseball. I guess Seattle's not technically one of the smallest, but like it feels kind of like it. I think Kansas City is smaller. But like the two smallest markets in Tampa and Milwaukee, and then another small market in Seattle, I guess Pittsburgh's been dominant too, have been just controlling the league for over a decade. Okay. 1, 2. Okay, 1-1 count. Game 3. Game 4. Are you kidding? I hate this team so much. It's just the same. It's just us 3. I don't know what the rest of the league is doing. Like, they don't exist. It's not real. It's I don't know if we've just flipped the I don't want to show every postseason, but the fact that this keeps happening is so interesting to me that I feel like I have to keep showing it. Like, what world we would be in shock if it's somebody other than the Mariners, Brewers, and Tampa Bay Rays in the championship series. By the way, in positive news, Lawrence Courtney did break the single season record for holds as well as the career record for holds. So that's 3 records down in the record books so far. This rebuild has, let's ignore Seattle, back-to-back MVPs for one of the greatest players of all time, Julio Rodriguez, who is now regressing. 2 MVPs, he's at 2,400 hits and 462 home runs. Late peak, but I guess you can't really say that when you got 5 rings, but okay. Cy Young, we do get that. Ted Anderson gets that award for us, and then Chuck Stu wins it. On the NL side, Jackson Jobe getting it for the Pirates. We got a batting title from Gil Garcia. Steven Villa was in second, and Alan Bassett was in third. You know, I built my team in a specific way, and what's crazy about it, too, is I have done 0 scouting this entire time. Just drafting guys that I think might be good, and how did he do that? Well, it's no longer 652. It's 656, and I bet you that's going to go up. MLB fans, be happy. For the first time in forever, it's literally not possible to have a Tampa Bay Rays versus Seattle Mariners ALCS
Because we're on the same side. Let's go. We're going to lose to them in the DS. I know it. Do you guys just want to fast forward? Let's just fast forward. Let's just skip all. Give me to 600 saves. Also, Edwin Diaz is going to end at 638. He was not able to cross that 652. Lost his job. Blew 11 save opportunities. Yeah. 2037. New number to beat. 700. Clase is the best reliever of all time right now. 3 reliever of the years, All-Star Game MVP, 15 All-Stars, and 5 rings. I mean, I guess it's him and Mo, right? But I think he did it in less time. Had the opportunity to get a Cy Young caliber season in 2024. So that's who we're chasing now. We're not going to get there because of the rings, but like we can get there because of the save count, the record, you know. But that's all theoretical because we're not leading this race. We've gotten over 500, but Luis Cabrera has more saves. He's a little older, but he's on the Mariners, so he's also adding rings, 2 titles. So it's not like, I mean, once again, it's not like we're in a position where we say, hey, we're the best. This guy's got 2 reliever of the years as well, and 11 All-Stars. The All-Star thing is obviously not going to have it for Hines, but I feel like we need rings. But I also know that we did a rebuild. We did a full rebuild. Swapped everything. Rebuilt young. Amazing pitching staff. Had the best pitching staff in baseball and one of the best offenses for 8 straight years, essentially. And now that none of them are young, they're not cheap anymore, we can't afford them, it's over. The rebuild is over. The era is over, where you're not going to win this division as much anymore. And we didn't capitalize because Seattle somehow was able to just build. I don't know. I don't know. I've never seen this happen. I don't know if I have like a bugged game and they have an infinite salary cap, but I just don't know. But could you imagine living in an era like this? Like legit, Luis Cabrera leading the reliever of the year race, right? Robert Hines in second. We're on the top 2 teams in the AL. We're on the greatest teams in all of baseball. And Luis Cabrera, 555 saves. Robert Hines, 554 saves. This is insanity. 2038. And now dude's taking my awards too. 113 and it's not enough. But he's on Seattle, so that's fine. We have crossed the 600 save threshold. In fact, we are currently tied with Luis Cabrera. But I think we're going to pass them. It's just this race is going to be the whole thing. He's been phenomenal for the past 3 years. And he's getting rings. Maybe it's just the losing that's doing this to me. But we're going to break a record, and I'm going to feel disappointed. He's not the same save, bro. I'm brain dead at this point. 2039. I think I'm going to go to bed. I can't do this. But we do actually see someone do it. Clase goes into the Hall of Fame with 700 saves. Well, Luis Cabrera passed 652 on the way to 700. It might not be for the record, but it's what we set out to do. 652 saves. Today is the day and the opportunity for Robert Hines to tie Mariano Rivera for what is now 3rd all-time in saves at 652, behind the 700 of Emmanuel Clase and the 666 and counting of Luis Cabrera. Up 3-0 on the Cardinals. We are in position where we might be able to get a pretty easy opportunity for him. First ball flown out
to left field. I'm going to be honest at this point, most of these players are guys that I do not remember. I let the computer take control entirely several years ago as I felt like it was about time for me to stop micromanaging this roster and making sure that I would build it perfectly for Hines. Hines is going to end up breaking this record as long as Luis Cabrera doesn't do as well. But I think the one thing that we set out to do and create the greatest closer of all time, which was not necessarily the main goal of setting out for this saves record, but just felt like it. 652 made it feel like you're going for Mo. I don't think we did that. Manuel Clase has 5 rings. Luis Cabrera has 3 or 4. So the two guys that we are behind have multiple championships, and all Hines has is the miracle run of his rookie season, no matter how much of a miracle run that was. We are now down 2 outs as Liam Lara is going to step in here in 2040, as Hines is going to have his opportunity to tie Mariano Rivera here with this pitch. Drops the sinker in the middle. 0-1 count for Robert Hines. Interestingly enough, I also saw that, Lawrence Courtney is leading the reliever year race in the NL side right now. So the other guy that we set the record with, big diving play by the second baseman, is going to knock it down, but isn't going to get it over to first in time. Alan Bassett gets the ball. Not enough there. One of the big pieces that we were able to develop here and bring in. I can't remember who that second baseman is, if that's Takutsu, who I had drafted, who was very good, or if we have somebody else playing there at this point. Could even be, like Carson Williams or something like that at this point too. Or Gil Garcia, somebody who we drafted early on in this rebuild. With the pitch, that ball is going to be fouled off. Did give up a hit there. That is going to be counted as a hit for Robert Hines, but we're in a good position here to get this. Now, I think right now we're once again looking at potentially being a top seed, leading our division again. But with the Mariners existing, that might not mean much. But the ball is flown out. And Robert Hines has tied Mariano Rivera for 3rd all-time in saves.
Mariano Rivera with career save number 652. Just amazing. Mariano was a guy that was impossible to hit. Well, this guy right here, he has become the same type of pitcher over a good long career.
But we have breaking news. It's 2040. The Mariners aren't here anymore. Woo! Woo! I didn't go to bed. I said I was going to. I didn't go to bed. We're here. We're celebrating because the Mariners aren't here. That means this is all for the taking. Milwaukee is there on the other side, though. I think Milwaukee has been in every single World Series in the 2030s. And they've won 1 and lost 9. I could be wrong. At this point, they all blend together, right? But I think the whole world is happy because Seattle isn't here. It's our time, baby. Here we are. We're going to the World Series 2040. Can Hines get his 2nd ring? We have to play Milwaukee. All right. Ted Anderson versus Thomas Quintero in Game 1. Anderson was somebody who we drafted in year 1 and is still our ace. Game 1 is going to go to us 11-2. Broderick Austin, somebody who we drafted in year 2, is going to start Game 2 versus Justin Fabregas. Can we get this in Game 2? We cannot. We lose 2-3. Broderick Austin giving up some runs there. Game 3, Luis Elez versus William Yang. We are now up 2-1. Miguel Ponce, first round pick in 2029 against Thomas Quintero in Game 4 to take a 3-1 lead. We can do it. Forrest Story versus Alfred Obama. Thanks, Obama. We've done it. 2 rings. It just took so long. Cabrera has passed 700. So we have a higher number to go after. Still chasing down Luis Cabrera. We have passed Emmanuel Clase. We are just chasing Cabrera. It's a race. I think
I mean, it's kind of a guarantee we're going to win the race because we are younger, and therefore we can last a little bit longer than Cabrera can. But we're still behind him. There is a chance we pass him before the season ends. He is at 712 right now. We are at 707. We are just going to watch and move a little bit further until we finally catch him and pass him. It's crazy because there were times in our careers where we were ahead of him. He went to Seattle and then, kind of ran away for a little while. We passed Clase, who was also in Seattle. And now we are just chasing down Cabrera to take that. We have 3 reliever of the years, only 2 all-star appearances, and 2 rings compared to Cabrera's, I think, 4 rings. I can't remember at this point. I'll go back and count everything by the end and see what he ended up with. Because I think this is probably Cabrera's last year. Hines still has a couple more in the bag. But let's just say this. I cannot state how ridiculous this is. The reason we are right behind him and the reason why I skipped over 700 is because I was like, oh, he's at 662, like at the end of the season. I bet you I sim halfway through the year, he'll be at about 690. We have 92 wins and 28 losses. There's so much left of the season yet. He has 49 saves right now. We're not even to the last month of the season. We could be approaching our record of 62 in a season again. He's at 711. Cabrera's at 715. At the end of August, 717 to Cabrera's 718. It is tied 719 to 719 with a little bit less than a month left to play in this season. I think we're going to do it. We're going to break the wins record. And there's a chance he breaks the single season saves record. And I think he's going to pass Luis Cabrera. If this is a 3-run lead win, this is the record. Ellis Anderson is in. We'll simulate that one. We lose to that one. That is a 3-run lead in that one. Hines has 58. That is 720 saves on the career. But Cabrera still has 720 of his own. What a race. Hines passes him 721. This is an insane race. 725 is going to go to Luis Cabrera. Hines had a little bit of a lead for a second, but Cabrera takes it right back at 725. By the way, that was just a 124 win season. But when all things are said and done, we broke the single season saves record. But Luis Cabrera got hot right at the last moment. And he is going to have 728 saves at the end of what is likely his last year of his career. Hines had 727. So let's just think about it for a second. Which one's really better? In the same amount of time, they were both drafted in 2025. If you took just a 2041, when they both end up stopping, Luis Cabrera has 728. Robert Hines has 727. Hines does get the single season save record, actually broke it twice, 260 plus save seasons. Cabrera did not. But also, Cabrera has an unlimited amount of rings to add on top of that trophy list. Hines has got a couple more years left that he'll probably end up still being productive, which we're going to go through. But I'm going to guess the Mariners are in the playoffs. We get reliever of the year. Let's see if Cabrera is going to add another one to the list. Would you really have it any other way? In what is probably their last chance, Julio is 40. He is 69 overall. And he had 45 home runs this year. But it's probably done because there's no way the game will let him play anymore. And Luis Cabrera, I think, is like a 71 overall as well. So he's probably done too. This is the last of the Mariners. They're obviously still going to be good. But this is the last of the true dynasty. And our chance to cement the greatest season of all time and take down the Mariners finally.
for the first time in a long time. 2041 for a chance to play probably the Brewers. Game 1, Ted Anderson versus Dalton Madlock. It's a 5-0 victory. Game 2, Broderick Austin versus Greg Williamson is a 6-9 loss. Game 3, Luis Elez versus Gavin Madden is a 6-0 victory. We are up 2-1 on Seattle. Game 4, Forrest Story versus Dalton Madlock. We are up 3-1 on the Mariners. Can we finally extinguish them and finally get this monkey off our back? Not in Game 5, but in Game 6 we can. To take on the Brewers, because they own the National League. So, Milwaukee, they don't know how to win. They've won once. That was against us. Because, of course it was. Game 1, 2-9 loss. Game 2, 7-4 victory. We are up 1, or it's tied 1-1. Austin versus Fabregas, down 2-1. Game 4, down 3-1. The Brewers get their victory and we lose. Cannot repeat. That's kind of a poetic end. We'll obviously get the counting stats by seeing how much Hines can do. But a poetic end to just lose once again. Julio Rodriguez is going to end with 10 titles. The Mariners had 0 pennants when this started. 0. And they have 13. You want to know another one that's going to be embarrassing? The Brewers, who I know have won. And now they have 11. They got their 2 titles, both of them against us. We got our 2 titles. I don't remember who we beat the first time, honestly, at this point. It's been so long. But what has this rebuild been? Let's get to the end and see what the counting stats are as we watch Robert Hines and see what he can end up finishing with. We'll come back and look at Luis Cabrera when he goes to the Hall of Fame and what Julio does when he went to the Hall of Fame. Wow, what a rebuild this was. Lawrence Courtney is going to end up retiring. He's not going to get signed at a 72 overall. As the all-time holds guy, 379, and with 1 title in his trophy case as well. And got a couple all-star appearances after leaving. Julio is going to end his career with 3,196 hits, 673 doubles, 654 home runs, a 284 average, 887 OPS, and 124.8 WAR, along with, more importantly, 2 MVPs, 13 All-Stars, 11 Silver Sluggers, a World Series MVP, 5 Hank Aaron's, a Rookie of the Year, 4-time home run champion, 2-time batting title champion, 3-time playoff MVP, and 10-time World Series champion. This isn't even supposed to be about him. Luis Cabrera is going to likely end his career. I don't think he's going to get another opportunity. With 728 saves, retiring as the all-time saves leader once he eventually does, with a 2.44 career ERA, a 1.02 whip, 24 WAR according to the game. We'll have to jump back and adjust that, doing the math later on. And by the time things were all said and done, he ended up getting 1, 2, 3, 4 titles on the books. We won in 2040. We lost in 2041, so they did not make it there. Got his 4 titles. I can't remember if he was on the Milwaukee team. It might be 5 titles. 4-time reliever of the year, 13-time All-Star. Edwin Diaz also had his 5 titles, so I think there might have been overlap there. I cannot remember specifically what year we lost just yet. I'll have to go back and actually do the totals. as we do it. But that's great for Luis Cabrera. Let's see what Hines can finish off his career with. Junior Caminero just retired. You know, he hasn't played since 2036, but he just retired. Ended up with over 400 home runs. That's cool. But the class of 43 is stacked. 728 saves by Luis Cabrera, 2.44 ERA. Ends up getting him in the Hall of Fame. Bazana goes to the Hall of Fame. Roman Anthony goes to the Hall of Fame. 549 home runs gets Vladdy to the Hall of Fame. 490 for Soto gets him to the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I mean, Vladdy, it looks like Soto played a lot less than these guys did. Vladdy played a little bit more, even if it didn't really. But we see second closer go in the Hall. I also feel like I should show some of the other generated guys. This Chuck Stu is 97 overall, 31 years old, played for 14 years. Not sure how that happened. He's at 550. Is that 6 or an 8? I don't know. Doesn't matter. That guy could end up going for the home run record, though he's going to regress really hard really soon. I also just have to add, because I know I was just kind of skimming through, the Mariners made it 3 more times in a row, by the way, after Julio was gone. So they lost all of them, but they were there. And in what is going to be Hines' last season, age 37, 18 years in, 45 saves, 878 career saves for our closer that we attempted to break the record with, and in fact were able to do so, breaking both the single season record and breaking the single season record again, and then breaking the Mariano Rivera record, and then beating Emmanuel Clase, and then beating Luis Cabrera, and now setting an unbreakable 878 save total with a career ERA of 2.47 and a whip of 1.02. The MLB The Show WAR rating is going to be 21.0, which will be converted to about 42. Essentially, if you compare it like Class A, it's he had 2.2 in the game and 4.4 in real life in 2024. This is not a perfect comparison, but let's just say 42 WAR. That is more than Trevor Hoffman, and I believe that is also more than Mariano Rivera, which means we have created likely one of the greatest closers of all time. I do think Luis Cabrera might have been better, but Robert Hines does end up actually getting the record and holding on to it. The main difference just being he started when he was 18, Cabrera started when he was 21. That plays a difference inside all of it. But, I mean, more than anything, we have just created one of the greatest simulations I think I've ever done, into a point that it was legitimately exhausting. Because seeing the Mariners dominate, losing as often as we did, not seeing the success meant that I felt like I had to keep watching, step by step by step. If you recall, about I don't know how long ago, because I have lost track of time, I said I wanted this video to be about 45 minutes. I'm going to guess that runtime is nowhere near where it is right now. We've broken the record. If you wanted to put together one of the greatest lineups of all time of generated players so far, you could take Alexis Trujillo, put him at first, and you could take a bullpen and throw in Robert Hines, Lawrence Courtney, and Luis Cabrera and have something insanely special. But that'll be it, because we have broken this record. We have set this record, and it is done. 2-time World Series champion Robert Hines, 4-time reliever of the year, an all-time saves leader, all-time single season saves leader, will go down in history with a name cemented in a record book for something that can never be taken away from him. He was the first ever to 800 saves. He was the first ever to 850, and it's going to be nearly impossible for anybody to ever break that. In a rebuild and a simulation where we saw some of the most insane simulating I have ever seen, we have created what is one of the greatest relievers of all time.
on a team that didn't even win a lot. We won 2 rings. So that's it. I'll simulate so you can see that Hall of Fame thing. And then that is it. Thank you very much. Adios.
Go home, get drunk, go sleep, wake up.